Chapter 773, Go Out or Come In. Chapter 773, Go Out or Come In. Luoing nodded. It should be. When I reached stage 9 of Qi gathering, I remembered a lot of things. This is a 7-star formation. Marshall Brother told me about it. He probably went to the small world from here. And Luo Fei also said they came in from here last time. Then how do we go in? Ning Qingxue looked desperately at Luoing. She wasn't able to keep the longing for Yimo in her heart like Luoing. She wanted to see Yimo all the time. Luoing took out 7 spirit stones and said, "This formation needs 7 spirit stones, but the spirit stones we found these years are too low in quality. I'll put them in the spots nonetheless, and then we can stand in this position and insert our qi, then there might be a possibility for us to open it. But afterwards, this formation will be completely destroyed." Why is that? Tang Beiwei looked strangely at Luoing. Luoing pointed at the bones on the side and the blood on the platform, because someone used a blood sacrifice on this formation a few years ago. So if we now also forcibly open it, this formation will completely close down unless someone with great power lays the formation again. Ning Qingxue suddenly thought of something. She bit her lips and said, "When I went out this time, I already told my parents it might happen, so it's fine even if I can't come back. But Tang Beiwei held Ning Qingxue's hand. Sister Qingxue, are you worried that brother isn't inside and that if we can't come out, we won't see brother again?" Ning Qingxue nodded. Why is Luo Fei here? Only Luoing had the habit of keeping her spirit sense out, so she was the only one to notice. Although Tang Beiwei and Ning Qingxue were both at stage 8 of Qi gathering, they didn't keep their spirit sense out all the time. Tang Beiwei and Ning Qingxue also noticed the person. Tang Beiwei greeted, "Sister Luo Fei, why did you come too?" Luo Fei's face showed surprise and joy and immediately rushed over. "You 3 are here indeed." The 3 guessed what was going on. Tang Beiwei asked, "Sister Fei, are Brother Su and Sister Yuehua okay?" Luo Fei nodded but didn't reply. Luoing said, "After I put the spirit stones in place, we'll send Qi into the Tiankou position together. Don't rush it. We can try slowly first." At this moment, Yimo had dark circles under his eyes. His eyes were bloodshot, and his hair was so messy it looked like grass. He didn't know how long he had been there, and he just relied on the Paigu pill to fill up his stomach. This method was very tiring, but he didn't want to give up. He needed to keep watch of the formation constantly, so it consumed his spirit sense and cultivation essence greatly. Every time he used up his spirit sense, he would use his cultivation essence to check and further refine his spirit sense. After time, his spirit sense became very condensed. It went from 7 kilometers to 20 kilometers. His cultivation essence also became very condensed. Although he wasn't stage 9 yet, he wasn't far away from it. This was due to him not cultivating. If he simply cultivated his essence every time he used up his spirit sense and cultivation essence, perhaps he would be at the tertiary stage of stage 9 by now. This was a very powerful improvement. Although his 3 birth chant digested spirit qi very fast, he also needed more spirit qi than normal to break through. If other people needed 10 top-grade spirit stones to break through, he would need 100 or more. This time too, Yimo kept watch with his spirit sense while eating a food pill. But as soon as he did, he noticed the loosening of the formation as it was getting bigger and bigger. This was impossible. How could it be loosening at this time? Yet the impossible was happening in front of him. What was going on? Yimo didn't know what could have happened, but he grasped the opportunity and immediately inserted his qi. He wanted to make the formation loosen even more. Soon, he realized that the only reason why this formation could be loosening was because people from the outside were trying to open the formation. Who would it be? Only the hidden sects members knew about this formation. Yimo was bewildered, but he knew that there would only be one chance like this, and he wasn't going to give it up. At the same time, Luoing, Tang Beiwei, Ning Qingxue, and Luo Fei were sweating like crazy as they kept inserting their qi. They couldn't control their qi anymore as it all got drawn in relentlessly. Luo Ying's face changed. She knew it was over. She didn't expect that their combined qi wouldn't be enough to open the formation. If she were by herself, she would be able to take the backlash and leave, but there were 4 people present. If she did that, the other 3 would immediately be killed by the formation. Tang Beiwei's face went pale as she struggled to speak. Sister Luoying, are we going to die? If this keeps sucking our qi like this, we could lose all our power. Luo Fei spewed out blood. She was trembling and was very close to completely exhausting her qi. Ning Qingxue glanced at Luoying. Her eyes were dim. She wasn't afraid of death, but she really didn't want to die without seeing her husband. Sister Luoying, I feel that I can control my own qi again. Tang Beiwei rejoiced. Luoying and the others also noticed this. Luoying breathed easy and said, although I don't know what's going on, this means that the formation is about to open. Luo Fei, are you okay? Luo Fei shook her pale face. I'm fine, but if it kept being like before, I would be a goner. Luoying thought for a moment before saying, perhaps someone is helping on the other side. But this is good for us. Don't lose focus, add more power. The four inserted more qi and soon, a rainbow formed next to the rock with a humming sound. The formation is about to open. Grab each other's hands, so we don't land all over the place, Luoying advised. A huge suction power appeared on the rock, and it was like a gate as it swooped the four inside. At this moment, Yimo saw the formation open. He shot his qi inside as he dashed into the formation door. A strong suction force swept him along, and Yimo breathed easy. He finally got out. Sister Luoying, what is this place? These 9 peaks are so high. Tang Beiwei crawled up from the ground and looked at her surrounding. Luoying shook her head but then said, there's air restrictions here. Is this the cultivation realm? Did Martial Brother not come here? Luo Fei was dazed for a moment as she looked around. This is the small world, the magical continent. We're standing at Magical Continent Mountain. This is the same place we left from. I seem to be feeling Yimo's qi, Ning Qingxue murmured. Chapter 774. Yimo's Whereabouts. Chapter 774. Yimo's Whereabouts. Luo Ying's eyes went red. I also felt his qi. Tang Beiwei wiped her eyes. She knew that although Sister Luoying didn't show it, she loved her brother just as much as Sister Qingxue. Luo Fei suddenly said, this place is only 50 kilometers away from Chan City. We can go there to find out about Brother Ye's whereabouts. Chan City is the center of the hidden sects. If Brother Yi showed himself, we can find out about him there. Luoying was the head of the four. Hearing this, Luoying nodded. Okay, let's go to Chan City first then. Soon, the four arrived outside Chan City. All of them could fly except for Luo Fei, which made her feel quite down. Luoying saw this and walked up to Luo Fei. Luo Fei, you can cultivate with us from now on. Martial Brother won't say anything if I teach you. Huh. Luo Fei's face was full of surprise and joy, but she immediately reacted and said, thank you, Sister Luoying. Should I dash? Luoying knew what she was going to say and waved her hand. We'll still be sisters. It would feel strange if you called me master. Sister Qingxue, this city is so big. But if Luo Yu City built a wall too, wouldn't it be much bigger than this? Tang Beiwei saw the tall city walls and exclaimed. Luo Fei nodded and said, yeah, Chan City is the biggest city in the hidden sects, and in the mortal world on the other side of the sea, there's also a very big city called Hangshui City. I can show you guys later, but I've only ever heard about it. Okay, but we need to find Brother first. Tang Beiwei also worried about Yimo a lot. Yimo was her only kin. As soon as the four walked into Chan City, they caught the eyes of almost everyone. For extremely beautiful women appeared together in this prosperous city. But Luoying and Ning Qingxue had very strong temperaments and people didn't dare to go up to them. In this city, power was everything. If you offended someone significant, you wouldn't even know how you died. The four walked into a hotel, and Tang Beiwei called the waiter. I want to ask about someone. Luo Fei quickly said, Beiwei, you won't find out about anything like this. There are countless people going in and out of Chan City every day. Unless it's a very famous person, it's pointless to ask like this. We'll ask the city lord to put up a notice, and then I think we should be able to find Brother Yi. Tang Beiwei nodded. You're right, but wherever Brother goes, he always becomes famous. Miss, I in fact happen to collect news, so perhaps if you tell me the name of the person you're looking for, I might know, the waiter commented. Ning Qingxue simply asked, his name is Yimo, do you know? The waiter heard this name. and his face changed drastically. He didn't even talk and just walked away. The very noisy restaurant area of the hotel became very quiet after hearing this name. What's going on? Tang Beiwei was confused. But before anyone said anything, she walked up to that waiter and stopped him. Why did you leave after hearing my brother's name? Tell me or don't blame me for what I might do, Tang Beiwei said. Me, miss, I never said anything bad about Yi Qinbei. Please let me go. The waiter regretted for being a loudmouth. Tang Beiwei said coldly, I will let you go if you tell me about Yi Mo. Otherwise, I'll speak. Yi Qinbei hasn't appeared for a few years, the waiter said shakily. Tang Beiwei was angry. Since my brother hasn't appeared for a few years, why are you acting like this? The waiter didn't dare to reply at all. At this moment, a youth sitting next to the window saluted with his fist as he walked over. Miss, I am Lu Hushin from the All Heaven sect. It is thanks to Yi Qinbei that we are a special grade sect now. Ordinary people don't dare to talk about Yi Qinbei, but I can tell you about him. Tang Beiwei studied the young man and said, Oh, in that case, please tell me what happened to Yi Mo. Lu Hushin's face was handsome, and he was very tall. He carried a long sword on his back. Lu Hushin saluted to Luo Ying and company with his fist and then said, 4 years ago, Yi Mo's wife, Mu Xiaoyun, was schemed for by the Tai sect, and because of that, hearing this, Luo Ying and Ning Qingshue's hands shook. Yi Mo got another wife here? Meanwhile, Tang Beiwei looked down as she felt ashamed to face Sister Luo Ying and Sister Qingxue. Although she didn't mind personally, this was quite unfair towards them. But soon, Luo Ying and Ning Qingshuo acted normal as though nothing happened. Lu Hushin continued, Tai sect wanted Mu Xiaoyun no matter what, but Yi Qinbei happened to get there on time. At the Hidden Sect's grade tournament on Magical Continent Mountain, he exerted his dominance and killed tens of great heaven and earth level masters. Then, he annihilated the Tai sect, Gemini Sword sect, Forgery Hall, and tens of sects that acted against him. Hearing this, Luo Fei shivered and spilled a cup on the table. She was extremely shocked. Yi Mo had killed so many great heaven masters all by himself and annihilated a special grade sect like Tai? This was unbelievable. If Yi Mo was this strong, didn't that mean he could easily wipe out her sect? Also, the All Heaven sect had been just a first-grade hidden sect before, yet now they were special grade. Such big changes had occurred amidst the hidden sects in a few years' time. But Lu Hushin continued, with Yi Qinbei's dominance, ordinary people don't dare to show disrespect for him. After Yi Qinbei did these things, he went around looking for his wife and disappeared for a few years. A few years ago, those disciples who escaped from the Tai sect all came back under the lead of someone called Mo Yushin and formed the Tai sect again, though. Although it's no longer a special grade sect, there's still a first-grade sect. You're saying that Yi Mo has been gone for a few years? Ning Qingshuo asked shakily. Lu Hushin replied immediately, seeing someone as pretty as Ning Qingshuo. Ask him something. Yes, if Yi Qinbei hadn't disappeared for at least a few years, the Tai sect members wouldn't have dared to rebuild their sect. If he has been gone for a few years, why did the waiter not dare to answer us? Ning Qingshuo asked coldly. Lu Hushin replied, because a month ago, a certain youth came to Chan City. He also asked for Yi Qinbei's whereabouts, but this was heard by a half-step, great heaven elder of the Tai sect who immediately ridiculed Yi Qinbei and told that youth to piss off. After that, he called Yi Qinbei a coward and said that if he dared to come out, Tai would get its revenge. He's asking to die. How dare he talk about my brother like that? Tang Beiwei was furious. Lu Hushin smiled. That youth said the same, though he called Yi Mo his master. When that Tai fellow heard this, he stood up to kill him. However, that youth killed the Tai master with just 2 moves. That wasn't the end of it. He went to the campsite of Tai in Chan City and killed a few earth levels and kicked all the other disciples out of Chan City as well. Chapter 775. Luo Yu has changed? Chapter 775. Luo Yu has changed. If you guys have just come to this city, I can show you guys around if you don't mind. Lu Hushin looked eagerly at the girls. No need, thank you. Tang Beiwei waved her hand and went back to her seat in disappointment. Lu Hushin didn't want to give up just yet. Aside, he saluted with his fist, If you're looking for Yichinbei, I can still help, because Goddess Zihua is from our all-heaven sect dash. A crisp female voice interrupted him. Martial brother Lu, leave. There's no business for you here. Lu Hushin saw the woman coming through the door and immediately said, Yes, martial sister Yun. Yun Zi walked to Luoying and company and was shook. She got news that a few girls were looking for Yimo. She thought it was Mu Xiaoyun, but instead, it was these girls out of which none was less pretty than her. When Yimo landed on the ground, he spread out his spirit sense. He immediately became excited as he had returned indeed. But soon, Yimo noticed that this formation seemed to have been opened just then, and it was now broken. Yimo soon remembered that at Magical Continent Mountain, the formation had loosened for no reason. It seemed that he helped the people crossing over from here, while they helped him too. Yimo shook his head. The thing he wanted to do the most now was to get back to Luoyu. Yimo's spirit sense had gotten very strong, and when he got on his flying sword and sent his spirit sense out, he immediately noticed that there was a hiding formation outside the valley. Yimo immediately dashed over to this formation. On the small platform inside the hiding formation, there was a tree with 10 bright red fruits. When Yimo saw this tree, his excitement was indescribable. He had looked all over the small world for it, but now he got it so easily. This was a bitter 10 years tree. 800-year-old bitter 10 years. If he moved this to his chaos world and then sold bitter 10 years in the cultivation realm, he would become filthy rich. But Yimo soon calmed himself down. He didn't even know if he could move the tree. Most importantly, he didn't have a place to plant it. Although he had a golden page world, the world was still gray. He couldn't even go in himself. The only thing about it was that things wouldn't deteriorate inside. No matter what, Yimo was still very excited obtaining the bitter 10 years. He took out 10 jade boxes and inscribed formations on them before then carefully placing the fruits inside and putting the boxes in his golden page world. Then, he set up a few more formations around the tree. He couldn't dig the tree away now, but that didn't mean he wouldn't in the future. Luoyu City was no longer the Luoyu City of when Yimo left. It had a population of about 2 million now. Due to its proper urban planning and advanced technology, it had become a place everyone in the world wanted to visit. It looked very calm, but there were in fact a lot of hidden undercurrents. This was all because the leader of Luoyu, Yimo, had disappeared for almost 10 years while his wives didn't care that much about power and also left 2 years ago to look for Yimo. So, the real power was in Su Yuehua's and Su Ping's hands. However, they were both immersed into cultivation as well. After Luoyu stabilized, they spent most of their time cultivating. They knew this city was Yimo's anyway, so when Yi Zifeng and Yi Ling rose up, no one felt it was inappropriate to leave it to them. Su Yuehua was a bit better and still cared about Luoyu's development, but Su Ping really put almost all of his time into cultivation. But recently, things had begun to touch Su Yuehua's and Su Ping's bottom line. So all the higher-ups of Luoyu held one of their big meetings. Although Su Yuehua had been the one to bring it up, she didn't feel good about it at all. City Lord Su Yuehua, Vice City Lord Dong Tanjin, Vice City Lord Yi Zifeng, Vice City Lord Yi Ling, Army Marshal Su Ping, Head of Commerce Su Qianqian, Navy Commander Shenda, Ground Forces Commander Yi Zhihua, Head of Technology Dong Nana, Foreign Affairs Minister Dong Chong, and so on. Su Yuehua looked at this room full of people and suddenly felt lonely. She found most of the faces weren't familiar. What happened to Yu Miaodong, Zhang Jiayan and Huang Yinian, Guo Qi, Li Sandao, and the crazed tech genius Yi Xing? At this moment, Su Yuehua suddenly felt like she had betrayed Yimo's expectations. She had unknowingly let Luoyu turn into this. She had only bothered herself with building Luoyu's technology and helping it expand, spending all her remaining time cultivating. She didn't even notice the highest level of Luoyu turning into this. If she wasn't the appointed city lord by Yimo, if Su Ping wasn't Yimo's second brother, could they even still stay in their positions? If they didn't both have Earth-level peak power, could they still maintain their power? In fact, she didn't even know who this Dong Tanjin was, yet he had more power than her in actuality. Su Yuehua was still being dazed when the Vice City Lord Dong Tanjin said, "Today's meeting will be held by me and City Lord Yuehua. Due to Yi Xing's departure, our new head of technology Dong Nana can't even look at a lot of the resources, let alone Suiwahua was furious already. This Dong Tanjin was stepping over the line. Yimo stood in the prosperous city and exclaimed out of surprise. He had left for many years, and in these years, Yixing and Suiwahua didn't betray his expectations. Luoyu City was built rather well. He desperately wanted to see Luoying and Qingxue, but he didn't know how to face them. Suddenly, there was a ruckus on the streets. Yimo looked over and saw someone smashing a clothing shop. Yimo frowned. How could this happen at Luoyu? What was Feng Wei doing? Yuan Gong, it's you? Yimo squeezed in and saw that he actually knew the shop owner. It was Yuan Gong who came with him to Flowing Snake to start up Luoyu Pharmaceuticals. He had a sister called Yuan Meixiang. Yimo met them and Zhang Jian on the train. How could someone smash a founding father's shop? Yuan Gong's eyes were red as he held a metal stick, ready to resist the patrol squad. There was a woman behind him who was probably his wife. When he heard Yimo's voice, he turned around and saw Yimo. At that moment, he was dumbfounded and dropped the stick. Yuan Gong, what's going on? Yimo asked again. Yuan Gong suddenly knelt on the ground and started crying. Brother Yi, is it really you? You're back? Yimo pulled him up and asked coldly, what is going on? Why is something like this happening? Where is Feng Wei, that bastard? Before Yuan Gong could answer, the patrol squad leader studied Yimo and said in a weird tone, who are you? How dare you intervene with Luoyu's law enforcement? Do you not want to live? Men, capture him for now. Yimo sneered and couldn't even be bothered asking why anymore. He casually swept his leg and broke all their legs. No matter who was right, he wasn't going to allow any law enforcement officers like these. These people didn't expect Yimo to be more strong and more unreasonable than them, breaking their legs without asking anything, and they started howling in pain. Yimo was annoyed by this even more, and he kicked all their teeth out. What's going on? Yuan Gong, tell me. Yimo's tone was ice cold. He would never allow abuse of civilians on his land. Whoever dared do that would be killed. Chapter 776. What the hell are you? Chapter 776. What the hell are you? 2 years ago, City Lord Ning left Luoyu. The new Minister of Finance said my sister's records weren't clean and locked my sister up. I luckily bought this shop when Luoyu was just built. Due to my sister's case, I'm not allowed to work at Luoyu Pharmaceuticals anymore. So now keeping this shop open is all I can do, Yuan Gong said. Yimo frowned. Qingxue had left? He scanned his spirit sense out, and he didn't see Ning Qingxue, Luoying, or Tang Beiwei. He then looked at the meeting Suiwahua was holding, and he didn't know most of the people there. Where was Sister Yu? And his Navy commander, Old Huang? Zhang Jian and Guo Qi weren't there either. He didn't even see Yixing. The more Yimo looked, the more unhappy he was. He scanned his spirit sense out 20 kilometers and didn't see these people anywhere. Yuan Gong continued, my shop was always very quiet, but for some reason Brother Feng Wei was also locked up in dash what? Feng Wei is locked up? Yimo's eyes went colder and colder. There was a possibility that Yuan Meixiang's records weren't clean, but Yimo knew Feng Wei. He was very loyal. He would definitely not do something illegal. Why was he locked up? Yuan Gong nodded. Yes, because Brother Feng was locked up, these people started doing as they pleased. These people were sent by the Dong family. The Dong family is the most powerful family in Luoyu right now. A servant of theirs wants my shop, and so now they want to rob it. Yimo's face was oozing frigidity now. He kicked the patrol fellows away and said, does Suiwahua not know about all this at all? Or does she not bother to care? Yuan Gong shook his head. I don't know. I wrote to her saying that my sister was innocent, but I got no reply. What happened to my sister and I isn't even that bad. Last year, there was an incident with a family from Europe. Because they had a pretty daughter and Dong Zheng from the Dong family wanted her. When the family didn't agree to his advances, the next day, the entire family died, and the daughter was raped and killed. When the police investigated, they declared it a family suicide. Haha, suicide. Very well. Yimo didn't want to stay here any longer at all. I disagree with City Lord Dong's words. The secret files of the tech department aren't even visible to me. How long has Dong Nana been here for? Unless my third brother signs for it personally, no one is allowed to go see those records. Su Ping rebuked Dong Tanjin's words. Dong Tanjin sneered. Xiao Su, if I bring this up, it means it has been approved of. Otherwise, I wouldn't bring it up. City Lord Yi, you can start a vote. Su Yuehua knew that if there wasn't a secret card needed to access the files, Dong Tanjin wouldn't even bother holding a meeting for this. After Yixing left, the card to the room was left to her. The ground forces commander Yi Shihua suddenly got up and said, I agree with City Lord Dong's proposal. Also, I believe the conservative position of City Lord isn't beneficial to the development of Luo Yu. I propose a 4-year term for the City Lord position just like the U.S. and their president. This way, we can vote for a new City Lord. Su Yuehua was furious. She was no politician, but Yi Mo had given her the position of City Lord. She didn't care about the position, but about letting Yi Mo's hopes down. Seeing Su Yuehua's anger, Dong Tanjin sneered. These few idiots all showed their emotions on their faces. No wonder he had only needed a few years to get 80% of the political power in Luoyu. Yi Zifeng coughed and got up. My brother gave the position to Su Yuehua. I don't think we should touch it. If my brother comes back, we dash Feng Nana heard this and immediately sulked. Zifeng, we're talking about serious matters here. You can't just speak out of personal feelings like that. We've been married for a few years, but did you see me troubling you out of personal matters? Yeah, City Lord Zifeng. Yi Mo hasn't come back in all these years. If something happened to him, are we to stagnate like this? Moreover, the military of Luo Yu also agrees to changing the City Lord. Dong Tanjin smiled. Su Ping was immediately furious. When did I agree? The military disagrees with this proposal. Do you represent the military? Then what do Yi Shihua and Shanda represent? Dong Tanjin sneered. Yi Shihua and Shanda got up and said, we represent the Luo Yu Navy and ground forces, and we support City Lord Dong's proposal. Those who disagree can talk to our troops. Even if Yi Mo himself came back and disagreed, he would need to ask our troops. Very well, I disagree. Now get your troops to ask me. A cold voice sounded, and everyone looked at the door of the meeting room. There was no alert to this new arriver, and everyone was shook upon seeing why. CEO, third brother, you're back. Brother Yi. Yi Mo felt warm hearing these voices. There were still some people who remembered him. Yi Mo? Dong Tanjin was dazed but soon reacted and saluted with his fist. This is Luo Yu's highest level meeting. How about I invite you to rest first and after the meeting. Yi Mo looked coldly at Dong Tanjin and said, and what the hell are you? Who let you sit there? Big brother, Brother Tan is the #1 Vice City Lord right now. Everyone voted for him. Yi Zifeng got up and said. Yi Mo glanced at Yi Zifeng but didn't answer. He looked coldly at Dong Tanjin. Dong Tanjin's face went cold, and he signaled at Yi Shihua, but Yi Shihua was shaking at the sight of Yi Mo. He didn't see Dong Tanjin's signal at all. Seeing this, Dong Tanjin sneered and said plainly, I'm Dong Tanjin. Perhaps due to my late arrival, I don't know Mr. Yi. You're our valuable guest, but this is an important meeting, so please, someone come. 3 men came out immediately, 2 of whom were half-step great heaven, and 1 was a mutant master. He was at least level 8 or higher. Lock him up. Dong Tanjin waved at the 3 men. Yi Zifeng's face burst red. City Lord Dong. He's my big brother. Luo Yu City is his. What are you saying? Dong Tanjin waved at Yi Zifeng. Zifeng, private matters belong to the private sphere. Nana also just told you. Luo Yu City isn't Yi Mo's. It's everyone's. Don't worry, I'm just preventing him from obstructing our meeting. I won't hurt him. So you're from that currently most powerful family in Luo Yu? The Dong family? Yi Mo suddenly asked. We can talk after the meeting, Mr. Yi. Dong Tanjin was very calm, as though everything and everyone was under his control. Dong Tanjin closed his eyes, and those 3 masters charged at Yi Mo. Su Ping got up immediately, but Yi Mo waved his hand at him. Yi Mo sneered. No wonder Dong Tanjin was this cocky. He could get such masters, 3 of them at that. He definitely wasn't ordinary. However, Yi Mo was unhappy with Yi Zifeng's attitude. He was his brother, yet he was helping Dong Tanjin. Yiling didn't talk, but Yi Mo saw guilt in her eyes too. Perhaps Yiling had even helped this guy. However, these people were insects to the current Yi Mo. Yi Mo mobilized his cultivation essence, and the three masters immediately felt like they had sunk into a dense mudpit and couldn't move at all. They immediately knew things weren't good, but before they could react, Yimo waved his hand and 3 wind blades brought down 3 heads. Dong Tanjin was dazed. He was the one who brought these 3, and he knew best how powerful they were. It could be said that no one in the world could stop the 3 of them together, yet they didn't last a single move against Yimo. Before Dong Tanjin could react, Yimo walked to Dong Tanjin and grabbed him. He threw him into the air and swiped out. Blood splashed out, and when Dong Tanjin fell on the ground, his ligaments were missing. Yi Zifeng looked at this in shock. The number 2 figure in Luo Yu, his brother-in-law, had turned into that out of nowhere. Chapter 777. Leave no one alive. Chapter 777. Leave no one alive, big brother. Yi Zifeng looked dazedly at Yimo. He had heard a lot about how Yimo was decisive in killing, but this was the first time he saw his brother kill, and so bloodily at that. Yimo didn't seem to see Yi Zifeng and shot out 4-finger winds, stopping Dong Tanjin's bleeding. No one could believe how easily he stopped that massive bleeding. Everyone in the meeting room had woken up by then. Su Yuehua and Su Ping were fine, but Su Qianqian was already puking. This was too bloody. She knew why Yimo was killing these people. She had known the purpose of this meeting too, but she could only protect herself. Yimo had given her this opportunity and recovered her looks. Hence, she didn't want to join the Dong family's side, so she had been planning on resigning, but now Yimo had come back. Yimo looked coldly at Yishihua and Shunda, who tried to leave. If you sit there and don't move, I might leave you with a full body. If you dare to move, then you will be like this cocky guy. Big brother, Shihua is my cousin. He's from the Yi family. Yi Zifeng finally understood how domineering and unreasonable Yimo could be. Yimo looked coldly at Yi Zifeng finally and said, Zifeng, the first thing I need to tell you is this. Luo Yu does not belong to the Yi family. Even if Yi Beirong dared to do the same thing, I would still kill him. Secondly, being from a big family, how can you be so foolish? I wouldn't care about you being the city lord. But what about forgetting the original people who followed me? Did they do you any wrong? You don't need to explain to me. There will be other people to do that. Then, Yimo walked to Dong Tanjin and kicked him on the head. Dong Tanjin's eyes went blank. Tell me, what is your name? Yimo looked at the convulsing Dong Tanjin and said coldly. Dong Tanjin answered in a monotone voice, I'm Dongfang Tanjin. Who sent you here and what for? Yimo asked. Dong Tanjin replied, the young master sent me here. He believes Luo Yu is more suitable for Shitang's development. We will take over everything in Luo Yu. Yimo then looked at Dong Chong and Dong Nana and said, you don't need to think about anything else, since you dared to come to Luo Yu. Then, Yimo caught a bullet and immediately flicked it back out. Blood exploded as Dong Chong's hand that was holding a gun was completely shattered with blood splashing onto Dong Nana and Yishihua. Yimo walked over and kicked out a few times. Dong Nana, Yishihua, Dong Chong, and Shunda were all kicked together into the same spot. Is your young master Dongfang Wang? I don't think Dongfang Tang has the balls to do this, so it must be. The Dongfang family is quite cocky. You think you can rob Luo Yu's land just like that? I really want you to bring a message to Dongfang Wang this time. Even if he takes the positions of all of Luo Yu's higher-ups, Luo Yu City will never belong to the Dongfang, Yimo said coldly. Yi Zifeng murmured. How can this be? Nana, you're also Dongfang, aren't you? Zifeng, I'm sorry, I owe you. Dongfang Nana suddenly got up and turned to ram her head into the pillar. Yi Zifeng saw this and immediately charged over to grab her. Nana, don't do this. Big brother won't kill you. Yimo sneered. He saw with his spirit sense that Dongfang Nana had a mini pistol in her pocket. She didn't need to ram her head into the wall to kill herself, but Yimo couldn't be bothered exposing that. He could tell that Yi Zifeng really loved Dongfang Nana, but she was just using him. Yimo walked up to his seat and sat down before saying slowly, Second brother, Sister Yuehua, why are so many familiar people missing? Why is Feng Wei locked up? Su Ping looked down guiltily. Sorry, third brother, I didn't help you manage this family well. Su Yuehua got up and said, CEO, the main responsibility is mine. I just realized that the documents telling Commander Huang, Yu Miaodong, and the rest to resign were all signed by me. Zifeng brought me those documents to sign, so I didn't mind that much. Yiling suddenly said at this moment. I know that Sister Yu and Commander Huang never wanted to resign. Those orders were fake. After Sister Yuehua signed other things, Dongfang Tanjun changed the content and used Sister Yuehua's supposed orders to capture Sister Yu and company brother. Second brother is infatuated with Dongfang Nana and has fought with Sister Yuehua many times. Sister Yuehua always felt she was an outsider due to Zifeng's identity, which allowed them to take over Luoyu step by step. I could see it happen, but I didn't dare say anything. Sister Luoying and Qingxue all left. I wanted to tell them after they came back, but they haven't been back ever since leaving. Luckily, you came back today. Yiling wiped her eyes. She knew that if she exposed these things, Sister Yuehua and Su Ping and company might be killed by these people. The only reason why they didn't was because they feared a riot happening. She knew things would all be corrected when her brother came back, but dead people couldn't be returned back to life. She had seen with her own eyes Brother Zong being unable to even last 3 moves, even when he was at the Earth-level tertiary stage, when he was caught against that master brother Yi had killed. Luckily, brother had returned, and now things would be back to how they were before. Yimo sighed and walked up to Yiling. Yiling, I thought wrong of you. Were things already past the point of no return when you found out? Yi Zifeng was the person who had willingly betrayed them. Yiling just couldn't do anything about it. Brother. Yiling nodded and cried into Yimo's arms. Yiling cried for a while and suddenly remembered something. Brother, you should quickly go save Sister Yu, Commander Huang and the others. They were locked up by Dongfang Tanjun at Hezi Strait military prison. What? They left Luoyu already? Su Yuehua got up in shock and asked shakily. Yi Zifeng was also dazed. He had always been grateful for Dongfang Nana's understanding and caring attitude towards him. When so many old people of Luoyu left, she introduced that many capable people to Luoyu. Only now did he realize how much of a fool he was. Yet, he still wasn't able to hate her. I will go save them. Su Ping slammed the table. His face showed extreme guilt and anger. Yimo waved his hand. No need. I will go save them. This is my fault. Then, Yimo killed Yi Shihua and Shendo with 2 wind blades and then destroyed Dongfang Chang's and Dongfang Nana's dantians before saying to Su Yuehua, Sister Yuehua, now is not the time to punish yourself. Lock these 2 up and interrogate them. Then, Yimo said to Su Ping, second brother, go take control of the army immediately and annihilate the Dongfang family no matter if they're here or outside. Kill everyone except for the women they robbed from Luoyu City. Leave no one alive. What? Everyone was shaken at these words. Chapter 778. Dongfang Wang's Trump Card. Chapter 778. Dongfang Wang's Trump Card. What? Everyone was shocked by Yimo's words, leave no one alive? Was this still modern-day society? If news of this reached the Union, perhaps they would start a third war with Luoyu in the name of human rights. Dongfang Nana and Dongfang Chong shivered. Only now did they realize what sort of enemy their young master had offended. These last few years, Yimo hadn't been at Luoyu, and they hadn't seen him, so they thought Yimo was just a OSL. What Yimo had said now was still understandable to Su Ping and Su Yuehua, but to Yi Zifeng and Xin Qianqian it was shocking. Xin Qianqian subconsciously said, Brother Yi, shouldn't we lock them up first, then take them to court, and then dash? Yimo sneered. He wasn't a political idiot. He had come back to establish his dominance. If he couldn't even do that, then what would happen if he left Luoyu for a long time again? Luoyu was different from other countries. This was a new city, and they didn't need to copy other countries' laws. He needed to use bloody warnings to all those who might want to plot against Luoyu City. He needed to tell them, there is no court battling here. If I want to kill you, I will. He turned around to Su Yuehua and added, after second brother kills them all, list their crimes publicly. Yimo paused for a moment and add another law to Luoyu City. Those who betray the country can be killed unconditionally as long as I confirm it. This was a dictator law, but Yimo didn't think he would ever wrong the innocent. He didn't give this authority to anyone else either. The Dongfang family could kill another family as they wished. go to their home and rape and kill while telling everyone it was suicide. This had touched his bottom line. Even if he wronged some innocents of the Dongfang family now, he would be giving justice to those who lived in Luoyu. He had created Luoyu City to give peace and harmony-loving people a place to live happily, not for someone to abuse Luoyu citizens, not even Yi Zifeng. Yi Ling looked at Yi Shihua, who was lying dead on the ground. Her eyes were disappointed. She didn't like these things, but the Yi family members just had to come start trouble in this peaceful Luoyu. She knew long ago that if her brother came back, none of these people would be able to get away. The reason why all these things had happened in Luoyu was because Yi Mo hadn't specified Su Yuehua's authority. Yi Zifeng thought Yi Mo had left him there to balance Su Yuehua's power. Moreover, Su Yuehua was more suitable for being head of intelligence, but not really for being city lord. What is it, third brother? Su Ping said. Su Yuehua and company all looked at Yi Mo, who was suddenly stopping Su Ping, not knowing why he was doing that. Yi Mo had calmed down and given things a bit more thought. Dongfang Wang had started this. With his wits, there was no way he didn't account for the possibility of failure. He must have some trump card to dare do this, and that trump card would be used to negotiate with him when the plan failed. Those of the Dongfang family were all cunning like foxes. If he underestimated them, he would be the one suffering. What was Dongfang Wang's trump card? Second brother, don't startle anyone yet. Let me think. Everyone sit down. Yi Mo also sat down and rubbed his head. Yi Mo knew that he wouldn't be able to think of anything in his current mood. He took out a few transmission runes and gave them to Su Ping and Su Yuehua. Then he said, Second brother, go take over the military immediately and lock down Luoyu for now. Don't allow so much as a bird to fly out. After that, go annihilate the Dongfang family. If anything comes up, tell me through this transmission rune. And once everything is under control, you can go rescue Sister Yu and company for me. In this situation, he could only move very fast. He should be the one rescuing people himself, but he had to figure out what Dongfang Wang's next move was.
Yes.
Su Ping walked out and disappeared from the doorway quickly. Yi Mo then said to Su Yuehua, Sister Yuehua, use the highest order of the city and immediately shut down all means of transportation. Secondly, immediately shut down all telecommunications within Luoyu. Without the next order, it is not to be started again. Also start up Luoyu's interference machine and stop any signals from going out. We'll communicate using these transmission runes only. Yes, President. Su Yuehua knew that Yi Mo must have thought of something important. By the way, Sister Yuehua, I told you to investigate a place called Shitang before. Do you have any news? Yi Mo asked. Su Yuehua shook her head. I wasn't able to find it, but I did find out that after the Sui Tang dynasty, there was a power faction in Jingping called the Great Shitang. Pretty quickly, though, that power faction died down. There were barely any records left of it. Yi Mo knew that if this matter were so easily gotten to the bottom of, Shitang wouldn't be able to exist till today. With Yi Mo's order, Luoyu City became restless once again. Some people were arrested, but most importantly, almost everyone knew that big things were about to happen after telecommunications were shut down. Yi Mo interrogated Dongfang Nana and Dongfang Chong, but the result was that they were just pawns sent by Dongfang Wang. They didn't know what Dongfang Wang's next move was either. The only useful thing he got out of their mouths was one of Dongfang Wang's HQ locations, Xianlian Island. This was a private island which Dongfang Wang had gotten 5 years earlier to develop his power. Yi Mo sighed. He didn't know if Dongfang Wang had savings before or not, but earning enough money to buy an island within 5 years, this guy was really capable. If Dongfang Wang just wanted to recover his Shitang, that was fine, but he shouldn't have tried to mess with Luoyu. Xianlian Island was about 6 square kilometers big. No matter if Dongfang Wang was on this island or not, Yi Mo was going to annihilate it. Yi Mo sent his spirit sense out, and Su Ping had acted quickly and managed to gain control over the army. Yi Mo nodded. After all, Su Ping was the original commander. So now that Yi Shihua, this outsider, had died, it was effortless to regain control over the army that belonged to him in the past. A few gunshots and explosions sounded when Su Ping encountered some people who didn't fear death, however. The explosion shook Yi Mo. Explosion? Right, why didn't he think of it? If he was Dongfang Wang, The only way to bring the enemy down with you was to physically destroy Luoyu. Luoyu's air defense was too strong, so the only way to do that was to plant the bombs in Luoyu and detonate them. Thinking about this, Yimo sweated. Chapter 779. More important thing? Chapter 779. More important thing. Realizing the danger of the situation, Yimo knew that it was pointless to call Su Ping back immediately. The only thing to do was to check if Dongfang Wang had really planted bombs in Luoyu. If he had no way but to take them out before Dongfang Wang detonated them. Thinking about this, he scanned his spirit sense out at once, not even leaving out underground. Luckily, his spirit sense was more than 20 kilometers long, so it could go through the earth easily. Soon, Yimo's expression looked really bad. He had indeed found bombs, timed bombs with radioactive effects. These bombs could kill thousands of people at once. Not only that, the radioactive substances would completely destroy Luoyu. Dongfang Wang was really sinister. Yimo calmed down. His safety measures were of some use. Dongfang Wang would have to be notified for him to decide to detonate the bombs no matter what, and he had cut off the city's telecommunications. The moment after, Yimo had left the meeting room. He needed to dig away the bombs as quickly as he could. Yimo's spirit sense was very powerful and, as it swooped the heavens and earth, he found out that there was more or less a bomb every kilometer. The most densely populated places had more bombs. Yimo was furious. Luoyu had to bleed. These people were hidden very deeply. Hence, since Yimo had decided to act up, he wasn't going to be soft. The bombs had been placed very strangely. Some were inside trees, some were inside water or earth, some were in the middle of the road, or inside walls. Other than Yimo, no one would be able to find them all without knowing the exact place. Without the support of a city manager, these bombs wouldn't have been able to be placed at all. And based on their locations, Yimo knew this hadn't been done in a day or two. These bombs were like mini nuclear bombs. Each one of them was very expensive. That Dongfang Wang was really wealthy. In order to create nuclear fission bombs, Yimo believed that Dongfang Wang had to have collaborators. Yixing could have been involved, but Yimo didn't believe Yixing would do that, despite not knowing where Yixing had gone. His collaborator would at least have Northern Sand's level of technology power. Even with Yimo's spirit sense and speed, he took half a day to take out all the bombs in Luoyu City. There were 59 in total. Yimo quickly placed these in his golden page world and then checked many times to see if there were any more bombs. After this, the first thing he was going to do was set up automatic bomb checking devices and alert the city if bombs were found. Yimo only breathed at ease when he received Su Ping's news. Third brother, we found Yang Jia, who used to follow you Miaodong before he betrayed us and killed a few soldiers. Yang Jiu? Yimo immediately remembered Yang Jiu and Han Zai, who he had taken in from Earthfiend. He had even helped them to take out the goo bug. Yet now, as soon as he left, Yang Jiu betrayed them. What about Han Zai? I'll come over, Yimo said. Everything outside had been controlled and Yang Jiu had been subjugated. He was tied to a pole. Even when Yang Jiu was tied up, he still had a face full of contempt. However, when he saw Yimo come, horror flashed across his eyes. He hadn't expected Yimo to have come back. The pressure Yimo gave him stuck to his heart. Even the soldiers on the square stopped breathing and stood up still when they saw Yimo come. Almost 90% of them hadn't seen Yimo, but he was a legend. Stories of how he had created Luoyu had long been spread throughout the city. Yimo looked coldly at Yang Jiu and asked plainly, I really want to ask you, when did I ever mistreat you, or when did Luoyu ever mistreat you? Yang Jiu wasn't afraid of Su Ping, but he was afraid of Yimo. Su Ping sneered. Yang Jiu, didn't you just say that I wouldn't dare kill you and Luoyu was controlled by your master? Yang Jiu suddenly looked up, yet there wasn't much fear in his eyes. He bit his teeth and said, Yes, I said that. Yimo, I know you're strong, but you can't kill me. Because if you kill me, Luoyu will be over immediately. Oh, then tell me why that is. Su Ping looked scornfully at Yang Jiu without taking his words seriously at all. Yang Jiu suddenly had fear in his eyes. He thought that almighty person, that young master, was like a demon. It seemed he could do anything. He had said he was going to take down Yu Miaodong, and he had succeeded. He had said he would take down the commander of ground forces Guoqi, and he succeeded too. He had said he was going to make Dong Tanjun the #1 vice city lord, and the second day after he said it, Dong Tanjun had become the #1 vice city lord. Yimo looked at Yang Jiao and could tell that he was thinking about something else instead. Suddenly, Yimo lost interest in chatting anymore. Where did Han Zai go? Did you capture Sister Yu? Yang Jiao was shook and subconsciously answered, I killed Han Zai and I captured Yu Miaodong. Yimo waved his hand. Kill him? No. Yimo, you can't kill me. The young master said that if you kill me, Luo Yu is over, Yang Jiao said. He had reacted, but Yimo didn't even turn back to look at him as he walked out of the square. When Yimo went back to the meeting room again, Su Yuehua was back. Su Ping was still commanding outside. At the same time, Yu Miaodong, Zhang Jiayan, Huang Yinian, Guoqi, Lu Lin, Feng Nan, Feng Wei, and all the others were also back. Shi Xiu and his wife were also there too. Even the Air Force Commander Sherman, who hadn't come to the meeting before, also came. They were political prisoners. Although they had been locked up, Dongfang Wang clearly didn't intend to kill them, so they were rather healthy. Although everyone knew Yimo had come back, when they really saw Yimo, they finally dared to believe it was real. They all got up. To them, if anything happened in Luoyu, as long as Yimo was back, it would be fine. Yi Zifeng had also come to the meeting. When he saw that so many Qianbei had been locked up due to him, he realized how dumb he had been if Yima hadn't come back and Luoyu would have been completely controlled by the Dongfang family. All of those people would have been killed. Brother Zhang, Sister Yu and Commander Huang, I owe you. I let such things happen in Luoyu. I feel really embarrassed. This is our home, yet I let other people come in and cause harm to you. This is my fault. Yimo apologized. No matter what, these people had helped him build Luoyu, but they had gotten locked up. Su Yuehua sighed. When Miaodong left, I want to send her off. However, I didn't expect she would get locked up. Miaodong, I'm sorry to you all. Yu Miaodong was very disappointed. Yet now that they apologized, she knew that she couldn't blame Yimo. They idealized politics too much. Zhang Jiayan said casually, let the past stay in the past. We need Luoyu to stabilize as quickly as possible. Yimo nodded. Okay, everyone go back to your posts first. Once Luoyu stabilizes, we will discuss about the future. And Yuehua, recover the city's telecommunications. Yi Zifeng walked up to everyone and apologized. He had been the main cause of this. Shi Xiu, help Yuehua. We'll talk later. Yimo was quite happy that Shi Xiu had come. He was his best friend after all. After all this, there was a more important thing he needed to do. Chapter 780. Psycho Dongfang Wang. Chapter 780. Psycho Dongfang Wang Xianli Island was in between the Philippines and Indonesia. Yimo had never been someone who wouldn't strike back after being attacked. The first thing he did after handing Luoyu over to the others was to go find Dongfang Wang to this island. The island wasn't small, it was rather big. It belonged to an European tycoon before, and somehow it had become Dongfang Wang's. Yimo had indeed seen some soldiers training there, and their equipment was rather good. Their defenses were very thorough, but to Yimo they were non-existent. Yimo got to the center of the island. There was an impressive estate, and there were many barracks outside of it. There were about 1,000 barracks on that small island. Yimo looked at their flag, which had two ancient characters, yet he could tell it was Shitang. This was Dongfang Wang's base indeed, and a place where he trained his troops. It seemed that Dongfang Wang was much more decisive than his brothers. Both of them had wanted to rely on other people to build their own empire. After seeing that many of the Dongfang family's people had come to Luoyu, Yimo realized that Dongfang Wang was the real young master of the Dongfang family. Dongfang Shi and Dongfang Tang had probably wanted to be the young master too, but they couldn't get the support of the Dongfang family. Hence, they had no way but to rely on themselves. Yimo scanned his spirit sense out and saw two new battleships. However, it was a pity that he couldn't find Dongfang Wang. It seemed he wouldn't be able to kill that guy that day. Yimo didn't care that much. He believed that with his current spirit sense, it wouldn't be very hard to find Dongfang Wang. Yimo planted the bombs he had taken out of Luoyu City on the island and even on the 2 battleships. Although it was easy for him to kill the people in it, to Yimo it was much more satisfying to let Dongfang Wang have a taste of his own medicine. As soon as Yimo was done, he received Su Yuehua's call. Luoyu's biggest meeting center was full of people by the time Yimo got there. They all got up when Yimo entered the room. He looked at the screen in the meeting room and saw it was Dongfang Wang's face. "What's going on?" Yimo asked Yu Miaodan. Dongfang Wang spoke on 0° international TV attacking Luoyu, saying that we went against international laws and ignore human rights, Yu Miaodan said in contempt. Yimo nodded and sat down. He had never heard of 0° TV. Su Yuehua explained, 0° TV belongs to the Northern Sand country. Although it has a short history, it's one of the top 10 biggest TV channels on Earth. Yimo looked at Su Yuehua in shock. Northern Sand formed a country? Su Yuehua nodded. Yes, 6 years ago. There were some internal conflicts in a small country in Africa. A party took over the other party and re-established national constitution. 2 years later, the country was renamed as Northern Sand. Yimo thought about this. Now things made sense. He didn't keep asking and instead focused his attention on Dongfang Wang. Dongfang Wang seemed much more mature than 10 years ago. His face was also bleaker. Our Dongfang family had been contributing to Luoyu. Our entire family had even moved there. Yet what did the dictator of Luoyu do? He did something as inhumane as annihilating our entire family. Are we a primitive society? Is he a dark fascist ruler? The only option is carnage in the eyes of Luoyu's dictator. I feel deeply worried for the citizens living in Luoyu. I am representing the entire Dongfang family to call out to the world. We can't allow these butchers to continue. We need to resist. We need to destroy the dictator of Luoyu. Dongfang Wang's expression was crazed, and he waved his hand every time he spoke a word. Yes, I know the Union won't do anything to Luoyu. However, no matter how cruel and bloody Luoyu's dictator is, he can't stop our resistance. Suddenly, the screen changed to another channel. Yimo sneered. No matter how much Dongfang Wang tried to stir things up, the reality was more powerful than his arguments. Yimo didn't think the Northern Sand country issue was so simple. Northern Sand, unlike Dongfang Wang, was a powerful organization that had the same technology level as America. Meanwhile, Dongfang Wang was just a madman. Most importantly, their goal wasn't just to build a country. It was world domination. They hadn't had an open land to stay in before, but now that they had built their own country, they could do things openly. Northern Sand was not like the U.S. The U.S. dominated, but they still had some sense. They wouldn't try to annihilate every country on the planet, but North Sand was different. Those who followed them would prevail, and those who didn't would get annihilated. That was their ideal world. If they had the power to destroy the world, they would just shoot nukes casually. Life was worthless in their eyes. Just when Yimo was about to talk, Dongfang Wang tried to video call with him. Yimo was dazed, but he immediately sneered. He knew what Dongfang Wang was going to do. Accept the call and send what he says to the world through Luoyu TV. Yimo sneered. Su Yuehua dazed. President, are we really going to broadcast our conversation with Dongfang Wang to the world? Yimo nodded. Yes, let the whole world know what he's talking about. If he wants this satisfaction, I'll let him have it. I'm sure he won't expect this. When the video call was accepted, it was immediately broadcasted live. The news reporter of Luoyu said, after Dongfang Wang undermined Luoyu on 0° TV, he immediately requested to video call with Luoyu. This is a live broadcast of his video call. Let us see what this hypocrite has to say. The screen changed to Dongfang Wang's face. Dongfang Wang was holding a controller and laughing hysterically. Yimo, I know you're watching this. I came to tell you exciting news. If you hadn't killed the Dongfang family's people, perhaps we could have negotiated. But you psycho killed my family without even negotiating first. I will let you know who I am. I will make you remember forever. You're a psycho, okay, but I'm more psycho than you. This controller can detonate time bombs all across the world. You will be very happy with the explosion of 60 bombs under you. Enjoy the fireworks at Luoyu. Ha ha ha. Then, Dongfang Wang pressed the controller. Everyone in the meeting room was dazed. Dongfang Wang had planted so many bombs in Luoyu, yet none of the people there knew. The people's hearts sunk. They had just gotten out of jail, but now they were going to get bombed? Yimo's heart also skipped a beat. He had only found 59. Where was the last one? Chapter 781. Luoyu Reorganization. Chapter 781. Luoyu Reorganization. Seeing them stand up in shock, Yimo waved his hand and told them to shut down the video. Don't worry, I've already found the bombs and dealt with it. Starting today, we need to build a bomb defense system for inside the city to prevent this from happening again. Hearing this, everyone calmed down. They rejoiced that Yimo had come back. Otherwise, their years of hard work would have been all destroyed. Yimo could also rest at ease. He hadn't heard any explosions in Luoyu City, which meant that it wasn't that he hadn't found the bomb, but that for some reason the bomb hadn't been installed at all. Yimo then looked at Su Yuehua. Sister Yuehua, where did Yixing go? Did he leave by himself? Before Su Yuehua could answer, Yiling walked to Yimo and took out a letter. Yixing brother left by himself. He left this letter for you, telling you not to worry about him. I will tell you about Sister Luoying and Qingxue later. Yimo nodded. Although he was desperate to know about them, he still had to deal with Luoyu first. Moreover, with Luo Ying's talent, perhaps she was already stronger than him after cultivating so many years. She wouldn't be in any danger if she went out to look for him. Yimo didn't open the letter and just scanned it with his spirit sense. 2 years after he left, Yixing recovered his memories completely. He knew where he came from, so he used Luoyu's resources to build his own spaceship in 6 years and leave the country. Yixing said that because he only had 4 energy stones and the materials might have not been good enough, the spaceship couldn't leave Earth. However, he wanted to use it to go around and see if he could find why he had come there and if it was possible to go back. If not, perhaps he would go back to Luoyu in a few years. At this moment, Su Yuehua's phone rung. Su Yuehua picked it up and immediately put it down in joy. According to our satellite image, there was a sudden huge explosion at Xianlianai Island. It almost turned the island upside down. We've sent people to investigate the cause. Yimo nodded. He was shook. These bombs were really powerful. At the same time, Dongfang Wang, who was still in Northern Sand, didn't hear news of Luoyu being bombed either. Instead, he got news of Xianlianai Island being bombed and how his words had been broadcasted live. He was so angry he spat blood and cursed at Yimo before fainting. In order to fight Yimo, he had to even cooperate with Dongfang Tang, whom he had had great conflicts with, yet this the result. Seeing Yimo's calm expression, everyone who knew him understood what had happened. They couldn't believe that Yimo could transport all the bombs to the island in such a short time. It was impossible. Yimo felt very satisfied upon hearing these news. Dongfang Wang had destroyed his own base. Ha ha ha. Currently, Luoyu needs development. I want to hear everyone's ideas, Yimo asked. As for Dongfang Wang, he had decided to go kill him later. Su Yuehua got up and said, President, I have made grave mistakes during my time as city lord. I wish to resign. Yimo nodded. Su Yuehua wasn't suitable for that position indeed, but who would replace her? This person must have political capabilities and be completely loyal to Luoyu. Yimo wasn't too worried about the second part, as everyone there was loyal. Yi Zifeng also got up and said, Big brother, I don't feel like I should stay as vice city lord. I request to resign. Yiling also wanted to say something, but Yimo knew what she was about to say, so he patted her shoulder for her to sit down. Who do you think is the most suitable person for the city lord position? Yimo asked everyone. Everyone looked at Yimo. He was certainly the best candidate, but they knew it was implausible. He wasn't at Luoyu most of the time. Seeing that nobody talked, Yimo said, I'll name the various positions in Luoyu, and from now on, the citizens will vote for the city lord. All the other political positions can be decided by vote. Now, I suggest Naval Commander Huang Yinian to be the next city lord. Yimo had chose Huang Yinian after careful thoughts. First, he was experienced in all sorts of battles, especially naval. Luoyu was surrounded by sea. Second, Huang Yinian was old and reliable. Luo Yu needed development now, not war. Third, he knew Luo Yu deeply and loved Luo Yu. Yes, I accept this. Huang Yinian wanted to do things for Luo Yu. He felt that some of what Su Yuehua had done before wasn't right, but he had just been a naval commander. It hadn't been appropriate for him to say a lot of things. Yimo then looked at Su Ping. Second brother don't need to be the military commander anymore. Prepare to establish Luo Yu City's martial academy. Only those at black level or above can join. They will be responsible for Luo Yu's high-level safety. Second brother can be the director and sister Yuehua is the vice director. After what happened before, Yimo felt like he needed to be responsible for the safety of Luo Yu's management level. Otherwise, if another master came, Luo Yu City would still be in danger. Even China had the Heaven Squad. Half-great Heaven Masters were extremely rare in the outside world, yet Dongfang Wang had found two immediately. Yimo felt like he needed to investigate Dongfang Wang to know how he could have gotten his masters to work for him. Yimo looked at Guo Qi and said, Guo Qi will take over second brother's position as the head of military in Luo Yu. Li Sandao will be the ground forces commander. The naval commander will be appointed by City Lord Huang. Air Force commander remains the same. Zhang Jiayan will be first vice city lord, and Yiling the second vice city lord. Yu Miaodong will be the minister of foreign affairs. Fang Wei will continue to be the head of police, and Shi Xiu can be Sister Yu's assistant. Xin Xianqian and Lu Lin will stay in their positions. After all this, Yimo said again, Luo Yu's martial academy will be the best ancient martial arts cultivation place. If anyone's interested, you may all go there to learn. But there's one requirement. You must not teach anyone what you learn there. And Zifeng, you must go to study there for some time too before coming back to do things. Everyone left after the meeting. Although Yimo had said that the future positions would be decided by vote, for now he would assign everyone. Yimo left Zhang Jiayan, Su Ping, Su Yuehua, Yiling, and Yi Zifeng in the room and asked Yu Eru to come. After they all gathered, Yimo took out 3 great essence-increasing pills and gave them to Zhang Jiayan, Su Ping, and Su Yuehua. After you eat this pill, you will reach great heaven. Luo Yu needs masters because I can't always be here. Huh. Su Yuehua and the others stood up in shock. There were such pills that could make one reach great heaven. If news spread out, the entire hidden sects would rush to Luo Yu fearlessly. Chapter 782. Worry. Chapter 782. Worry. As for Su Ping and Su Yuehua, they didn't really care about being city lords. They were pursuants of the extremes of ancient martial arts. So now, they were just too shocked at being able to reach great heaven. From what they knew, the entire ancient martial arts scene had no great heaven master. Tan Jiao had gone into hiding after being defeated by Yimo, while Ren Pingchuan had been killed by Yimo immediately, so no one even knew about him. If Yimo could let people reach great heaven so easily, what power level was he himself at? After Su Yuehua and the others left, Yi Zifeng got up and wanted to say something to Yimo, but Yiling stopped him. She knew what Yi Zifeng was going to say and what Yimo was thinking. Dongfang Chong was dead, and what Dongfang Nana had done in Luoying inexcusably deserved the death penalty. It wasn't suitable to beg mercy for her. Yimo looked at Yi Zifeng and said, I don't think that you don't know anything about what the Dongfang family has been doing at Luo Yu. I think you also know best whether Dongfang Nana really liked you. I want you to be prepared before you go to the martial academy now. Big brother, please let Nana go. She's innocent. She was forced here by the Dongfang family. That Dongfang Tanjin isn't even her real brother either. Yi Zifeng's eyes went red. He knew that his big brother wanted to kill Dongfang Nana. Yimo sneered, Zifeng, you know in your heart how innocent she is. Not only is she not innocent, she deserves to die. You're about to go to the martial academy, but you want to keep her so she can continue betraying Luo Yu? Big brother, I want to take Nana and leave Luo Yu. Please let her go. Yi Zifeng's tone was bitter. Clearly, Dongfang Nana was of greater importance to him than anything else. Yimo sighed. Yi Zifeng wasn't his real brother, but he had never treated him any different. It was impossible to keep Dongfang Nana in Luo Yu City, but clearly Yi Zifeng's love for her ran deep, and it would be impossible to make him give up that woman. Yimo thought of Luoying, Ning Qingxue, and Mu Xiaoyun. It would be impossible for him to give up any of them too. Even if they did something wrong one day, could he kill them himself? Yimo knew he couldn't. If he couldn't do that, why force Yi Zifeng to do it? Yimo sighed and didn't say anything. But Yiling knew that Yimo was allowing Yi Zifeng to leave Luoyu, and her heart ached. Second brother, let's leave now. Yiling pulled Yi Zifeng out. Yimo knew he could no longer kill that Dongfang Nana. Although he knew she was very fake, love was love. No one could explain it. If it wasn't like that, Yi Zifeng wouldn't have been dumb enough to be used and still be confused after it came out. He hoped that Yi Zifeng would take Dongfang Nana and start up a family by himself instead of going back to the Yi family. It would be no good for her to go to the Yi family. Master, there will appear a path after arriving at the foot of the mountain. Some things are better left aside. You Eru comforted. Yimo came back to his senses and smiled. Eru, you're right. Why think too much? By the way, I called you over to test your spirit root. Then, Yimo took out the testing device and said, put your hand inside and use some inner chi. Okay. Eru did as he was told, and 3 rays of light soon shone on the device. Earth, wood, and fire? Yimo frowned. A triple-element spirit root wasn't good, and the testing lights of Eru's spirit roots were pretty dim. Master, what is an earth, wood, and fire spirit root? Eru asked. Yimo said, what I cultivate is very complicated. You followed me for this many years, yet I haven't taught you anything. Herbs are just one of many fields I am proficient in, and I actually don't cultivate ancient martial arts. What I cultivate in is called truth cultivation. It's a very boring thing, but if you cultivate it to the extreme, it is far superior to ancient martial arts. Are you interested in learning it? Eru immediately said, Master, I am willing. Okay. Yimo nodded, remember. You must not tell anyone what I teach you. I have one other disciple, and although you followed me first, strictly speaking, he's the first disciple I've taught truth cultivation. Master, I don't mind what number disciple I am. I just want to follow Master and learn truth cultivation. But what if Xiaojin sees what I'm cultivating? Eru asked. Yimo smiled. She's your wife, so if she's willing, you can teach her. Just remember to keep it a secret. Now pay attention. What I'll be teaching you is the primordial fortune chant. After Yimo finished teaching Eru, he left him with some pills. Around that time, Yiling came back. Yiling, let Zifeng stay, but don't let him be involved with Luoyu's matters. Just let him do some business, Yimo said. Yiling shook her head. Second brother says he owes you a lot, but he still wants to leave Luoyu. Yiling suddenly smiled and said, don't worry about him. He can bring enough money to start a business again. With his wits, they will live a good life if Dongfang Nana wants to live well. And I also think that it's better that he leaves Luoyu. Yimo nodded and cast the matter aside, asking, do you know where Beiwei and company went? Yiling's eyes went red. They are all capable of cultivating, but I am not. Since they can all fly, they want to look for you and left me alone at Luoyu. Do you have a way to contact them? Yimo asked. Yiling shook her head. When they just went out, I could still contact them, but it's been 2 years since I last had contact with them. Do you know where they went then? Yimo immediately asked. Yiling shook her head. I can only guess. When I was with them before, Sister Luoying said you might have gone to the small world, and Sister Luo Fei knew where the small world was. A while ago, as Luo Fei started becoming more and more disappointed with Luoyu, she left Luoyu City and went to find Luoying and Qingxue. But I can't reach her by phone anymore either. Not good. Yimo suddenly remembered that some people had been trying to go in when he was trying to leave the small world. It must have been them. Chapter 783. Illegitimate Child. Chapter 783. Illegitimate child. Thinking about that blood-sucking formation, Yimo was scared. He had been able to escape it because he knew what to do, but what about Luoying and company? But then again, they should be fine, otherwise, he wouldn't be seeing just rocks when he first came out. Thinking about that, Yimo rejoiced that they were fine. Since they were in the small world, Yimo didn't have to worry. Their power should be adequate in the small world. Although that 7-star formation was in a dead state, when his formation skills reached a certain level, he could rebuild it. What's wrong, brother? Yiling asked worriedly. Emo waved his hand. It's fine. They went to the small world. After I finish dealing with things outside, I will go in too. Huh, you'll be leaving too, brother? But Yiling almost started crying. If everyone left, she would be really lonely at Luoyu. Although Yiling was in her 30s, Emo still patted her on the head and suddenly asked, Yiling, you're this big already. How have you still not found someone you like? Yiling's lips went up and said, Brother, I have considered some people, but I can't find someone better than you, so I might as well live by myself. Emo was at a loss for words, but he immediately said, It will be hard to find someone better than me here. Emo was thinking about how to make the 5-essence pill so that she could also have a spirit root. Yiling suddenly whispered into Emo's ears and said, How about this, brother? I'll marry you too. We're not blood-related anyway, and you have more than one wife already. Emo slapped Yiling's head. Stop talking nonsense. Don't worry about not being able to cultivate. I can make it possible for you to start cultivating, but you need to wait a bit. Really? Brother, can I really cultivate? Yiling immediately forgot what she said before. Emo nodded. Don't worry. When I'm stronger, I can make some pills for you, and you will be able to cultivate. But right now, I can't make them yet. He needed to be at least stage 9 to make the 5-essence pill. Hearing this, Yiling immediately became excited. The thing she desired the most was to be able to cultivate like Bei Wei. By the way, brother, I have something to ask you. Yiling's tone suddenly became playful again. What is it? Emo looked at Yiling strangely. Yiling suddenly smiled and said, Hee hee, did you ever have something with another woman and not take responsibility for her in the end? Emo was dazed and looked at Yiling angrily. Yiling, what are you saying? Am I that sort of person? Moreover, I wouldn't betray Susu and Qingshuadash, but Emo's tone went from high to low saying that, because he suddenly thought of Xiaoyun. But he wasn't irresponsible towards her. Brother, there really was such a thing? Yiling looked at Emo in shock. She was just asking before and didn't expect it to be the case. Emo coughed awkwardly. Yes, I still need to find her after dealing with things here. Brother, this is unacceptable. She's already raising a daughter for you. Yet you're still saying things like finding her later? Yiling said angrily. When she saw that woman and little girl on Yemo's wedding, she didn't mind at first, but after Yemo left Luoyu and she talked about it with Bei Wei again, they felt like the girl's eyes really looked like Yemo's too much. So, they made a bold guess that the girl was Yemo's illegitimate child, and that pretty young woman was a pitiful woman that Yemo had abandoned. Yemo looked at her strangely. Yiling, what are you on about? Xiaoyun was never pregnant. How can she have a daughter? Huh, did we get it wrong? Yiling wondered. Get what wrong? Yemo asked. Yiling said awkwardly, on your wedding, Bei Wei and I saw a woman carrying a little girl in Luoyu. The woman was very pretty, and the girl's eyes looked just like yours. I remember I gave her a bracelet too. Yemo was speechless. There were too many similarly looking people, so thinking it was his daughter just based on their eyes was too far-fetched, wasn't it? Never mind. Let's go to Luoyu Lake to have a look. Who's living there now? Yemo asked. Ever since everyone left, it has just been me living there by myself, Yiling said. Before Yemo got to Luoyu Lake, a huge bird flew over. Qingxue didn't take Silver with her? Yemo asked. No, they were planning on coming back quickly, so Silver has been staying with me. Yiling hugged Silver. By the way, brother, 5 years ago, Sister Jingwen and a girl called Qi Wanqing came looking for you, but you never came back. So after staying for a while, they left Luoyu. Yiling suddenly remembered Su Jingwen. Yiling knew what Su Jingwen's feelings were and felt bad for her. Yemo also felt guilty, but he couldn't stop these things. 3 women were already enough for him. Where did they go? Did they just stay for a short while? Yemo suddenly felt he should go visit them. Jingwen should be married after all these years. Yiling hesitated before replying, I don't know where Sister Jingwen went either, but she had been living at Ninghai. Last time she came, Sister Luoying taught her cultivation and both of them were fit for cultivation. They stayed at Luoyu for half a month before leaving. Yiling, Stay at Luo Yu and help City Lord Huang deal with Luo Yu's matters. I need to go out for a bit. After I come back, I will make the 5 essence pill for you. Yimo knew that Dongfang Wang couldn't cause too much trouble now, but he wouldn't feel comfortable without killing him. Yiling nodded, and then her phone sounded. Yes, Sister Yuehua. It's for you, brother. Yiling gave the phone to Yimo president. This morning a cruiser was bombed on the Pacific. It left Luo Yu half a month ago and had a U.S. ambassador on board. It has been found that the bombs contained radioactive substances. Now, the U.S. is contacting us to deal with the matter, Su Yuehua reported. Chapter 784. Return to Ninghai. Chapter 784. Return to Ninghai. Hearing this news, Yimo immediately knew what had happened. Dongfang Wang had said there were 60 bombs, but Yimo had never found the last one. It seemed it had somehow been taken along by Luo Yu's ship. Moreover, this bomb hit the U.S. ambassador, which indicated that Dongfang Wang wanted to instigate a conflict between Luo Yu and the U.S. again so that he could gain benefit from it. However, this meant that the bomb must have been left at the embassy to begin with. How had it gotten on the boat then? So either the ambassador didn't know, or perhaps his staff wanted to take something else but accidentally took the bomb. What would they try to take from Luo Yu? There couldn't be anything other than technological secrets. Yimo immediately said to Su Yuehua, check all recent border controls and check who signed this ship out. And also investigate every one of Luo Yu's military science research base. All those who leak Luo Yu's military secrets should be dealt with according to military law. Those who have been in close contact with the U.S. Embassy staff also need to be heavily investigated. Then Yimo continued, we should contact the U.S. regarding this immediately and also convey what Northern Sand has been doing to the Union. If the Union agrees, we can attack Northern Sand. If they don't want to be involved, we can pretend nothing happened. Also, make the decisions yourselves. Don't contact me unless Luo Yu is about to fall. Yimo left Luo Yu Lake and went to visit Ning Qingshua's parents. They seemed to have formed a new pharmaceutical company in Luo Yu and were doing quite well. Lan Yu knew that Ning Qingxue was cultivating something very powerful with Yimo, so she wasn't too worried about not being able to see her. After Yimo visited them, he went to visit Yin Si and Yin Jia. They also had their own business in Luo Yu and were doing well. They were both married and had kids. Yimo knew from them that their auntie came to Luo Yu 4 years ago and stayed at their place for a few days before leaving Luo Yu. Thinking about Yin Xingyin, Yimo remembered her diary, but he didn't take it out and read it. After seeing her on the cruise, it wasn't hard for him to guess the content. Yimo walked on the busy Luo Yu streets and felt empty. In family antiques, these words appeared before Yimo. He scanned his spirit sense in and saw in Zaishan. He didn't expect him to have moved over to Luo Yu City and started a shop here. He then immediately remembered in Jiqi and that Dongfang Wang who thought of her as his personal possession. Yimo walked in but didn't see Jiqi. It's you. You're Yimo. AI Zaishan was old but recognized Yimo immediately. Yimo smiled and saluted with his fist. And Qianbei, long time no see. Please have a seat. And Zaishan quickly invited Yimo in and let a waiter bring Yimo a cup of tea. Yimo scanned the antique shop. There were a few good magic artifacts in it. It seemed he had opened a shop there not for the money, but out of his interests. How come I don't see Jiqi anywhere? Yimo asked casually. And Zaishan sighed. When the Dongfang family came to Luo Yu, they ruined Luo Yu and made it chaotic. There were people here for her every day, and she got very annoyed. So she went out touring on her own. Yimo immediately knew why. Dongfang Wang must not have wanted to give up on her and kept sending people over. Does that mean you're just living here by yourself, Qianbei? Yimo asked. And Zaishan shook his head. No, my great-granddaughter is doing some business here and is a small official, so she comes over often. And Ning, Yimo immediately remembered her. The 2 fish eyes of the yin-yang fish were from her. Clearly, and Zaishan also remembered this matter and immediately asked, City Lord Yi, do you still remember the yin-yang fish pieces and the jade I left you? Of course, thank you, in Qianbei. That jade had the words, 7 pieces of trigrams. Fish jumped through the dragon gate on it. Also, just call me Yimo now, not city lord. I'm not the city lord. Yemo smiled. Okay. And Zaishan didn't remain too formal. I'll call you Brother Yi then. I'm sure you haven't found the two fish tails yet, right? Yemo nodded. Indeed. I didn't have the time to look for it yet, and I don't have a lead either. And Zaishan smiled. You don't need to look for it. The two fish tails appeared in an auction in Beijing, and I heard it was actually bought by your father-in-law's father, Ning Fuzhen. If you want it, you need to go to the Ning family. Ning Fuzhen? That was Ning Qingshue's grandpa. Yemo didn't have good impressions of the people in the Ning family other than Ning Qingxue and her parents. It would be hard for him to go up to them and ask. If it was before he went to the small world, he would go no matter what. It was some fortune after all, but now, Yemo didn't really care too much. And Zaishan said, if possible, I recommend you go. It's no ordinary thing after all. Yemo sighed and nodded. Soon after he went back home, Yemo left the city after telling Yiling. He wanted to finish things over here and make the 5 essence pill quick so that Yiling could also start cultivating. He had an important idea. He would find Luoying and company in the small world and build a place for them to live at in Wuwen Mountain. In the depth of the Wuwen Mountain, there was an abundance of spirit herbs and qi. It was much more effective to cultivate there. After leaving Luoyu, Yemo controlled his flying sword and flew slowly to Ninghai. He soon felt Ninghai had changed a lot. Most evident was the increase of skyscrapers and decrease of Greenland. The traffic was also very busy. Yemo frowned. He needed to remind Huang Yinian not to let Luoyu become like this too. Yemo landed with Ninghai University in front of him. He suddenly really wanted to go see Yunbing. Yemo expanded his spirit sense but didn't see Yunbing or Ting Ting. However, his spirit sense stopped on a girl in front of the high school nearby. She was really pretty. Her face was exquisite like an angel's, and even though her clothes were tattered, that still couldn't cover her glamour. The reason why Yemo took notice of her was because she had a bracelet that Yemo had made on her. Chapter 785. Daughter Yemo. Chapter 785. Daughter Yemo. Furthermore, he felt this strange sense of joy upon seeing her. However, she was surrounded by a few students, and they seemed to be looking for trouble with her. Yemo's heart shook, and the next moment, he was already at the door of this high school. Move aside. The pretty girl's voice was energetic, but clearly angry. We can't beat you, but do you dare not do as Dihua says? It's his birthday today. If you go there, you will be our big sister and have a spot in this year's national math competition. But if you don't go, we won't stop you. But you know the consequences, one chubby girl threatened. Yeah. What's wrong with being Dihua's girlfriend, Yemo? We would like to, yet can't, another girl said. Yemo? The same name as him? Yemo suddenly shook while studying this girl. She had the exact same eyes as him. He remembered what Yiling said before. Was this the girl that was at his wedding? No wonder Yiling would think she was his daughter. Even he felt like she was related to him, but Yemo knew it was impossible. He only had 3 women, and none of them had been pregnant. Suddenly, Yemo's heart shook once again. He remembered Song Yangzhu. That woman was his first woman. Could it be her? No way, that was just once. But Yemo couldn't stay calm anymore. Things really seemed to be like that. If this girl was really Song Yangzhu's daughter, then it must be his too. He remembered that he seemed to have heard a girl cry, and his heart ached that time at his wedding. Then, he had seen a figure hurriedly take a girl away. That figure. Wasn't that Song Yangzhu? If it really was, then how must she have felt at the time? She was carrying his daughter and was forced to watch his wedding. That was too cruel for her. A black BMW stopped at the door of the school, and a youth who appeared to be 15 but was already nearly 5'6", 1m70, walked off. He looked at those girls who had stopped Yemo and said, "Who let you be so rude to Yemo? Move aside." "Yemo, it's my birthday today. If you're willing, come over, please. If not, I understand." The youth spoke politely to the pretty girl. The girl didn't speak. She knew that it wouldn't be good no matter if she rejected or agreed. Yemo looked at this averagely dressed girl and suddenly felt bitter inside and a deep sense of guilt. He suddenly felt that he owed Song Yangzhu a lot. He had never thought of her again after taking her virginity. Yemo walked over and threw the youth far away into a trash can in the street. Then, he looked at the excited girl and asked, "What's your name?" The girl looked at Emo in shock. If Emo could casually throw D-Fan out, he was definitely a master. She had heard her mother talk about ancient martial arts. Perhaps this guy was even at the yellow level. Although she knew about ancient martial arts, she had never cultivated them. Her mother said it was very costly, and they didn't have a lot of money. Usually, she would reject strangers who tried to talk to her. But towards this big brother-like stranger, she felt a sense of closeness. It was as though she had long since known this big brother, and he also helped her kick away Di Hua. But the next moment, she pushed Emo worriedly. "You should leave quickly. Di Hua's bodyguard is very strong." "Leave? You want to leave after hitting young Master D?" A bulky man got out of the BMW. Seeing this, the girl got all the more worried. Meanwhile, Emo saw that his was a guy who wasn't even yellow level yet. Before this bodyguard could attack, he sent out a kick, using a little more force than before. This guy couldn't even defend himself and crashed into the young Master D who had just crawled up. Huh. This girl stared at what was happening in shock. "Big brother, you're really strong." Emo waved his hand. "I'm much older than you. Call me uncle. What's your name?" Emo thought, if she were Song Yangju's daughter, who should be at the black level, there is no way she wouldn't know how strong Song Yangju is. Had he guessed wrong? "I'm Emo." As the girl said this, Emo was dumbfounded. His hands started shaking. Her surname was Emo? Emo looked at Emo's shaking and suddenly asked, "Uncle, are you okay? Shouldn't you leave quickly? When the police come, you won't be able to get away. The D family are very aggressive. If they want you to go to jail, you will dash. Is your mother called Song Yangju?" Emo reacted and grabbed Emo's hands as he asked shakily. Emo pulled her hands away and said in anger, "Uncle, what are you doing? And how do you know my mother is called Song Yangju?" Emo looked at his daughter who had patches on her shoe and suddenly felt tears welling up. Song Yangju had given birth to his daughter, yet he had never even bothered trying to find her. Although Song Yangju was an ancient martial artist, she had never acquired the necessary skills to survive in everyday life. He could tell from Emo that they weren't doing too well. Those who didn't keep cultivating ancient martial arts would regress in power. Perhaps she was a yellow level now? As for why she had come to Ninghai, Emo could tell from his daughter's name. She knew that he had lived at Ninghai before, so she also came here. She no longer had any hatred for him. If she did, she wouldn't call her daughter Emo or have come to Ninghai. TL note. Emo in this context means in remembrance of Emo. Emo felt a strong sense of intimacy from Emo, and she even noticed the tears in the corner of Emo's eyes. She just wanted to ask something when Emo grabbed her hand again and said in self-reproach, "I am so sorry, Emo. My name is Emo. Perhaps your mother hasn't told you, but Emo, you're my dad." Emo suddenly went into Emo's arms and started crying, while thinking, Mom was right. Dad went out, but he would be back, and now he really is. From now on, she would be someone with a dad too. No one would be able to call her an illegitimate child anymore. She had heard Emo's name countless times. Every time her mother told her about her father, she would only say her dad was very strong and that he took her mother to the Mai Snow Mountains. Nothing else. "Yes, I'm your dad." Emo hugged Emo and murmured. He couldn't explain what he felt at that moment. Joy, self-hate, anxiety, excitement, etc. Luckily, he had come to Ninghai this time, or perhaps he would never know he had a daughter. For the first time, he felt this feeling of an extension of his life, his daughter. The police cars had surrounded Emo by then, yet the two were too immersed in the joy of their reunion that they didn't even notice. "Cousin DZ, are you okay?" A young woman's voice sounded. Emo saw a girl younger than 30 quickly walk towards Dihua. Dihua was helped up by the police, and that bodyguard was taken on the ambulance. "Sister Kai, that person is too aggressive. He stole my girlfriend and beat me." Dihua cursed at Emo. "You beat him?" This Sister Kai looked at Emo coldly. Chapter 786. The Only Thing. Chapter 786. The only thing Yemo smiled and could tell that this woman was no ordinary person. At the very least, she was an ancient martial arts cultivator, and she was at the yellow-level primary stage. The police were about to attack Yemo when the woman waved her hands to stop them, as though waiting for Yemo to reply. Yes, I did. But to me, this isn't a beating, because if I actually beat them, they would only be exhaling now and not inhaling anymore, Yemo said in contempt. The woman frowned as her eyes sharpened. Aren't you very cocky? Yemo smiled casually. If you want to fight without asking why, I will be more cocky than you can imagine. Yemo was ready to fight the woman, because he knew that those who cultivated ancient martial arts followed the law of the jungle and liked to talk with their fists more than him. However, this woman didn't attack and frowned upon seeing how fearless Yemo was. She turned to the young man and asked, DZ, is she the one you want to be your girlfriend? She pointed at Yemo, who was still in Yemo's arms. Yes, Sister Kai, I really like her. I want to take her home. She's really pretty. I must have her. I promised to have her as my sole girlfriend. I can give up on my current one. Dihua said desperately. To him, as long as Sister Kai was here, everything should be easy. The woman looked at Yemo, and her face eased a bit. She looked at Yemo and said, Who are you to this girl? Although DZ is only in year 12, he really likes this girl. This is their fortune, and DZ would not mistreat her. I think piss off. Yemo yelled coldly and slapped out twice. Yemo slapped that kid Dihua flying, and before he even landed, his teeth landed first. There were 2 slap marks on his face, with blood seeping where the palm prints were. Even his ears started to bleed. Yemo said coldly, That pig of yours does not deserve to associate with my Yemo. Yemo was really furious. Yemo was his daughter, and she was only about 13 now. Yet this bastard wanted her to be his girlfriend and take her home. Yemo really wanted to kill them right away. But he couldn't kill right now. If he did, then the news of Luoyu City's Yemo killing someone would be broadcasted all over the world. And even if he could mask his face completely, he didn't want to kill in front of his daughter right after reuniting with her. If he hadn't come to Ninghai and found her, his daughter wouldn't have been able to escape and would fall into that kid's hands eventually. That youth was clearly not a good guy, and their family was apparently quite powerful too. Song Yangzhu and Yemo would never be able to beat them. You. Sister Kai pointed at Yemo, shaking with anger. You're a mere yellow-level primary stage. Stop making a fool of yourself in front of me. I should be the one looking for trouble with you, and the only reason why I'm not is because I'm not in the mood for it. But if you ruin my good mood, I will come look for trouble, and you'll regret it then. The woman stopped her urge to attack. She suddenly had a bad feeling. Yemo really wasn't in the mood for these meaningless matters. He had just reunited with his daughter. By the time the police reacted, they found that Yemo had already left. They felt like Yemo had walked away slowly, yet he had already gone so far in one go. The police looked at Sister Kai, waiting for her order to capture Yemo. The woman opened her mouth, but by the time she came to her senses, Yemo was gone. She knew she had met a master today. You guys go back for now. She knew the police couldn't deal with people like that. She had to get revenge, but it wouldn't involve the police. This person was very strong, but if the Baoshi Hall of Ninghai could be so easily abused, then they wouldn't have the status they had or be able to dominate Ninghai like they did. After the police left, the woman turned to check out Dihua's wounds, but she suddenly felt her feet seemed to be lighter than usual. She then noticed that the bottom of her shoes had been sliced off, including the socks. If the slice had happened a little higher, she would have lost a layer of flesh. Seeing this, her heart finally beat rapidly. That man sliced off her shoes without her even knowing? If he was going to slice off her legs, wouldn't she be clueless as well? There was someone this powerful in Ninghai? Who was he? Thinking about this, she quickly called a few people to send Dihua to the hospital, while she left quickly. Perhaps the Baoshi Hall would disappear the very next moment after offending someone like this. She was sure that Yemo had shown her mercy, but that was perhaps so that he could go annihilate the Baoshi Hall later. The woman had actually guessed right. Yemo did intend to kill Dihua later. But clearly he didn't have the time now. Yemo's body was in the middle of that crucial stage of development, Yet her nutrition wasn't good. It was very important to help her treat her body first. Is your mother fine? Yimo could tell Song Yangju wasn't doing very well from Yimo, but he still asked. He didn't have much feelings for Song Yangju, but when this daughter appeared in front of him, he could only feel guilt for Song Yangju. Her body isn't too well, so I was planning on going back. Yimo wiped her eyes. She felt like she was dreaming. Although she had never seen her dad before, now that she did, it seemed like she had met him countless times in her dreams. Mom had told her that dad would come look for them, so this was the moment she had always been dreaming of. The moment Yimo said his name, she felt it to be the most natural thing in the world that Yimo was her dad. The only odd thing was that her dad seemed pretty young. Yimo felt even more guilty hearing about Song Yangju. Yimo clasped Yimo's shoulders tightly, fearing that her dad would disappear as soon as she let go. After calming down, she said carefully, Mother spent all her savings so that I could go to the best school in Ninghai. When she became sick, she didn't want to spend money on it either and dragged it on. Now, her body has started getting worse and worse. Yimo frowned. He had given her a luminous pearl. Even if she didn't have any life skills, she could still sell that and live a wealthy life. Did your mother ever say she had anything valuable to sell? Yimo asked. Yimo nodded. She has a very pretty pearl, and Mother told me it could be sold for a lot of money, but that was the only thing Dad left behind, so she didn't want to sell it. I agreed with her. Dad, you left that luminous pearl for Mother and me, right? Chapter 787. Song Yangju's Pride. Chapter 787. Song Yangju's Pride. Yimo thought Song Yangju would be renting something not too far from the school, but when the driver drove them all the way to the suburban areas, Yimo realized how far his daughter had to go to school. It was understandable when you thought about it, though. With Song Yangju's financial status, she wouldn't be able to afford houses in the city. He didn't even dare to look for Song Yangju with his spirit sense, and he didn't know what she would be like right now. After getting off the car, Yimo pulled Yimo to a civilian house. Yimo was dumbfounded. A woman with white hair was struggling to pull a bucket of water, and as she wanted to bring it to the stove, her footsteps showed that she didn't have the strength for it, and water kept splashing out. Was this Song Yangju? That cold-faced, beautiful woman? Yimo felt unimaginable regret. If he didn't recognize that prideful temperament and that barely familiar face, Yimo would doubt if this woman was really the same Song Yangju he knew. That black-level woman was now not even at the yellow level and even had internal injuries. That beautiful genius was now white-haired and had hands full of calluses with internal injuries on them as well. But she was only in her 30s. The reason why she turned into this was all because she had to raise his daughter, Yimo. Yimo also knew that she might be like this out of guilt too. She gave birth to a daughter for the enemy of her family. Even though she knew that the Song family had long since forgotten all about her, she still hid here, tormenting her wounds. Perhaps she wanted to die when she left Luoyu, but the only thing she couldn't leave behind was her daughter Yimo. Mom! Yimo called out and shook Song Yangju. She looked up in joy and then saw Yimo's face. Splash, the wooden bucket fell on the floor. She was stunned. The figure in front of her was suddenly becoming more and more blurry. Yimo holding Yimo's hands. She had envisioned this scene countless times in her dreams, but now it actually happened. Sorry, Yangju. I came 13 years late. Yimo's voice sounded. Song Yangju felt her eyes getting blurrier. She opened her mouth but couldn't say anything. This time, it wasn't a dream. Yimo really came. She breathed easy. Yimo finally found her dad. She could rest assured now. She had always told Yimo about her dad and told her that he would appear one day just for this day. She had left a deep impression of Yimo in her heart. Now it seemed like her efforts were not in vain. Yimo looked close to her dad like she had always been with him. Song Yangju's lips shivered, but she didn't say anything. Mom, what's wrong? Dad is back. Yimo noticed that her mom didn't seem to be acting right. Song Yangju smiled and returned to a normal look. Yimo, you need to listen to your dad from now on. Then Song Yangju said shakily to Yimo, water splashed on me. I'm going to change. Dad, Mom is Dash. Her mother always told her about her dad, but now that her dad was back, why was it that she didn't have much to say? She wasn't as excited as she would have imagined. In her heart, her parents' relationship was very good, so how come that didn't seem to be the case? Emo looked guiltily as she walked into the room and closed the door. When she started taking off her clothes, Emo retrieved his spirit sense. Dad, I'm going to cook, and I'll clean the kitchen. She said this so that her parents could have some alone time. Emo knew what his daughter was thinking. He ruffled her hair and said softly, "Okay." Song Yangju put on the clothes she used to wear in the past and looked at herself in the mirror. After a long while, she said, "You still look the same as before, but I am old. Now that Emo found you, I can rest easy." Then, she took out a dagger, rubbed her eyes in the mirror, and stabbed the dagger at her throat without hesitation. She was a prideful woman. She didn't want her man to see her like this. She knew he had two goddess-like wives and also knew that he didn't love her. Her pride wouldn't allow her to expose herself like this to his other wives. Her pride didn't want to make things hard for him. She was Song Yangju. She was also a prideful and beautiful woman. At least, she was still a prideful woman. Time could rob her of her youth, but it couldn't take away her inner pride. She didn't need love or pity. Now that Emo had found a new home, she no longer had any attachments. However, the dagger didn't pierce into her throat. A hand was grabbing the dagger. Blood spilled from the dagger, as Emo didn't use chi to stop himself from being injured. He felt like he owed Song Yangju, and it was right that he bled for her. "Yangju, you're being stupid. Since we've met again, this is a matter of fate. Why do this?" Emo's tone was sunken. He felt very bad. He knew what she was thinking, but didn't know how to comfort her. He could easily recover her looks, but the decade of trauma wasn't so easily made up for. What happened to your hand?" Song Yangju quickly grabbed Emo's hand. She forgot about her pride and just wanted to quickly find something to bandage it. At that moment, she forgot how strong Emo was. How could that small wound affect him? Emo used his chi, and the wound soon healed. He took Song Yangju into his arms and started caressing her white hair. Song Yangju's body stiffened. An inexpressible sadness rose from her heart. For all these years, the only kin she had was Emo. All these years, she didn't have a home, and she had thought countless times of leaning in Emo's arms. Today, it happened. She cried at that moment. She felt like a weak child. The senseless feeling she had felt when she hurriedly took Emo away from his wedding and all the suffering she had gone through seemed to have melted as soon as Emo came back. She had never loved before, and she didn't know if this was love, but ever since he pushed her out of that exploding tomb, she remembered him forever. She still remembered that when she heard Emo was fine, she rejoiced from the bottom of her heart. "Emo, I don't deserve you. I'm old," Song Yangju said. She didn't actually want to leave her daughter, or Emo, though. "You're not old." Emo spoke softly. Chapter 788. Emo's Killing Intent. Chapter 788. Emo's killing intent. When those young masters of the Song family fell in Ninghai and lost their lives, Ninghai became quiet. Even the mobsters didn't dare to be cocky, because they knew there was a Emo in Ninghai. However, this situation was broken 8 years ago. 8 years ago, the mafia mongrel Di Dongbing returned from Italy and set up the Baoshi Hall. Ever since then, the area was under the reign of the Baoshi Hall. The hall wasn't only in Ninghai. It was a famous European corporation. The Baoshi Hall in Ninghai was involved in a wide range of dealings. They would meddle in whatever could earn them money. Today was a celebrational day for them, as it was the big boss's only son, Di Hua's birthday. A second reason was that Di Caifeng's master would be coming to Ninghai that night. Di Caifeng's master was no ordinary person. What Di Dongbing was most satisfied about was not spreading his corporation all over the world, but knowing Di Caifeng's master. This master also said that he might take Di Hua in as his disciple. At this moment, a hurried footstep broke his train of thought, and Di Dongbing frowned. Already back when he was still in Italy, he had told his men more than once to always stay calm and not be in a rush. "What is it, Li Ping?" Di Dongbing asked with a frown. Lu Lipin was his most useful man in Ninghai, and he was quite vigilant while being strong and loyal at the same time. That was why he kept Lu Lipin by his side. Lu Lipin shouldn't be this hasty normally. Lu Lipin's face was very excited. He saw his boss's tone and knew that he was acting too excited, though, so he quickly calmed down and said, "Big brother, didn't you say before that master was going to come but we didn't have a present? Today, I heard about a very precious gift." Even Di Dongbing got a little excited now and quickly asked, "What is it?" "A luminous pearl," Lu Lipin said excitedly. "What? A luminous pearl?" Di Dongbing shot straight up. That was something legendary he had heard about a long time ago already. He saw one in an auction more than 10 years earlier at Paris. That pearl came from China, and it was sold for $500 million US. He still remembered the soft light it emitted in the dark. What present could be more precious than a luminous pearl? If it really was that, he wondered if he would even be willing to give it away. But thinking about who that master was, he immediately knew that he would get more if he gave it as a gift to that person. "Yes, a luminous pearl," Lu Lipin said in reassurance. "Where is it?" "Get it immediately, and use all means necessary," Di Dongbing ordered. "Big brother, we don't even need to spend money on it. We saw it on an ordinary woman. Her husband just came back today. He found it randomly and left it with her. This family is very ordinary, so if we want it, we only have to dash." Lu Lipin made a slicing motion across his throat. Di Dongbing frowned. With his many years of mafia experience, he felt that people who had something like the luminous pearl shouldn't be ordinary. "Where did you get this information?" Di Dongbing returned to his calm tone. Lu Lipin said, "I got it from a taxi driver. He took 2 passengers today, a father and daughter, and the daughter said her mother had a luminous pearl but wasn't willing to sell it. From their conversation, the driver inferred the man had given it to his wife." "Are you sure that's true?" Di Dongbing asked in excitement. Lu Lipin nodded. "Yes, from what the girl said. She knew that they could sell it for a lot of money, though. And she also confirmed with the man whether he had given it to her mother." "Okay, then." Di Dongbing yelled in joy and said, "Bring it immediately. Since they know it's a luminous pearl, they won't sell it easily. Do things clean and don't cause trouble." "Yes, big brother. Don't worry. They're just ordinary people. Even if they're public figures, we can do it cleanly," Lu Lipin affirmed. Yi Yimo was cleaning the kitchen and remembered that her parents were still inside. She secretly went by the door and saw her mom in her dad's arms and quietly closed the door before going to cook. She was really happy. It was said that kids from poor families matured early. Although she was just in 7th grade, she understood very clearly how tough her mother had it. Yimo knew that Yimo had come take a peek, so he patted Song Yangzhu's shoulders and said, "Yangzhu, let's go out and eat. Yimo is cooking, but I'll tell her to stop. We will go out to eat tonight. I have a surprise for you at night. You and Yimo can live with me from now on, so don't think too much. I will give back what you have lost these years." Song Yangzhu didn't really know what that meant, but her face went red thinking about the surprise at night. "Yimo, stop cooking. We'll go out to eat tonight." Yimo brought Song Yangzhu out and felt a sense of satisfaction seeing his daughter. "Really?" Yimo looked surprised and joyful. She remembered the delicious smells of the dishes she smelled every time she walked past restaurants, and now her dad was going to take her out to eat. Yimo pulled Yimo lovingly into his arms again. When they were both in his arms, Yimo thought that happiness could be so simple. "Dad, I'm going to change into a pretty set of clothes then." Yimo saw that her mother had changed clothes and said. Yimo rubbed her head and smiled. "No need. I'll take you to buy the best-looking clothes and dash." Suddenly, Yimo stopped. His spirit sense scanned a van driving over. The reason why Yimo took notice of it was because he knew one person in the van. It was their taxi driver. He was clearly showing the others the way, and it was towards Song Yangzhu's house. Yimo also saw 3 men with guns in the van. Why were they bringing so many people with weapons there? Did that woman call for them? He hadn't had time to look for her yet she came to him? But soon, Yimo realized it probably wasn't her. There wasn't even a yellow level aboard the car. She would never let ordinary people take him on. Soon, Yimo realized what the problem was from their conversation. The driver had overheard them talk about the luminous pearl, and so they brought these people to rob the luminous pearl. Thinking about this, Yimo's killing intent rose. Luckily, Yimo had spoken about it in front of him. If it had gotten leaked before today, they wouldn't even be alive, and Yimo would never even know he had a daughter. Yangzhu, pack your things with Yimo actually. I'm going out for a moment, but after that we can leave, and when we do, we don't need to come back here anymore. Yimo patted Song Yangzhu and left. Chapter 789. I also want to cultivate. Chapter 789. I also want to cultivate. Someone's blocking the road. The driver suddenly slammed the brakes as he informed Lu Lipin. Before Lu Lipin could say anything, that taxi driver leading the way said, "That's the man I was talking about." Lu Lipin heard this, and his heart skipped a beat. In that instance, he had a bad feeling. This person didn't look like an ordinary person no matter what. He actually seemed to know their purpose and must have stopped their van on the way because of it. Before Lu Lipin could say anything, Yimo already opened the door. No one knew how he opened the door, but the four people aboard looked at Yimo in a daze. It seemed like they weren't the robbers, but this guy who went on their van without their approval was the robber. You guys probably want this, right? Drive the car to the side of the road, Yimo said after taking out the luminous pearl. A faint luminosity spread out in the van, giving everyone a soft feeling. Luminous pearl? Lu Lipin called out in joy. No matter what, this luminous pearl was real. The next moment, he wanted to rob it, but he immediately stopped himself. Drive the car to the side of the road. Lu Lipin pointed at a distant corner and said. Lu Lipin's words made the rest of the men subconsciously clutch their weapons. Although they didn't know why Yimo brought the luminous pearl on the car like that, it was a fact that the luminous pearl was about to be the Baoshi Hall's. Yimo put the luminous pearl away. Soon, the car stopped at the corner. Lu Lipin just wanted to take out his gun when he saw a few red lights flash by him, and the other three couldn't even take out their guns before they were surrounded by balls of fire and died. By the time Lu Lipin processed what had happened, he saw Yimo looking at him with a scornful smile. Those men who had been alive just moments earlier eventually disappeared into dust. They couldn't even scream. If he hadn't seen it with his own eyes, he would never believe such a spiritual incident. Lu Lipin couldn't stop shivering. He had experienced bloody battles, but never had he witnessed a scene as shocking as this. Where are they? Lu Lipin subconsciously asked, and then immediately felt that he sure was dumb. Was it your idea to take my luminous pearl, or is there someone behind you? Yimo asked. If it wasn't because he wanted to ask this, Lu Lipin would be dead already as well. Lu Lipin's teeth chattered. He didn't even dare to lie and answered, "It was my big brother, Bao Shihal's Di Dongbing." Di Dongbing? Yimo didn't know this guy, and he didn't want to know. Right now, what mattered wasn't to go look for trouble with that man, but to go eat with Yimo and Yangzhu. He casually threw a fireball at Lu Lipin and left the van. Song Yangzhu and Yimo barely had any belongings. There were mostly daily items and Yimo's books. "Dad, there's a lot of things here. Should I call for a car?" Yimo asked. No need. Yimo casually took everything into his ring. Since he was planning to take them away, he didn't want to keep hiding from them that he was a cultivator. Both Yimo and Song Yangzhu looked at Yimo in shock. Where did all those things go? "Dad, do you know how to play magic tricks?" Yimo asked after a long while. Yimo then pulled their hands and sat down, telling them all about his cultivation. "Dad, can you really fly?" Yimo grabbed Yimo's hands as she kept asking questions. Yimo smiled and grabbed the two in his arms before taking out his flying sword. The flying sword had a purple ray on it, and they quickly shot into the clouds. Yimo was waving her hands about, unable to say a complete sentence, while Song Yangzhu was completely frozen. She knew Yimo was no ordinary person, but she didn't expect him to be able to fly. If all these events weren't so real and right in front of her, she would think she was dreaming. "Dad, is this the cultivation you were talking about? I also want to cultivate." Yimo hugged Yimo's arms excitedly. Di Dongbing's joyful mood was interrupted once again, and he got up in annoyance. If his loyal man wasn't getting the luminous pearl, perhaps he would start raging already. This was the second time today his good mood was ruined by the sound of desperate footsteps. But after seeing the person, Di Dongbing immediately didn't feel angry anymore and sat down again, changing his expression into a placid facade. It was his niece Di Kaifeng. Although she was his niece, she was extraordinary, and her status wouldn't be any lower than his at the moment. Perhaps it was even higher thanks to her master. Kaifeng, why did you come in such a rush? Didn't your master say he would be coming at night? Come, have a cup of tea. Di Dongbing smiled and poured her some tea. Di Kaifeng just sat straight down and said with a serious face, Uncle Bing, today cousin Di Hua was beaten heavily, and he's in the hospital right now. The doctor said he might lose his hearing, his face was also ruined, and he lost all his teeth. What? Di Dongbing could no longer stay calm and got up drastically. His only son was beaten up so severely? Di Dongbing's face became cruel. Who was it? Who dared do such a thing? Who did it? Where is he? Di Dongbing asked with a green face. He believed that since his niece came, it meant that the culprit was under control. In Ninghai, it was just a matter of one order, and he could catch anyone. However, Di Kaifeng replied seriously, Uncle Bing, sit down first. This matter isn't that simple. I was there at the time, and I felt the power difference between us was too great, so I didn't dare to attack. But I know this thing isn't over. And I don't mean that we should be going to find him, but that he might come for us. Chapter 790. Bait. Chapter 790. Bait might dare to come for me before I get to him? After a long while, Di Dongbing asked to be sure. Di Kaifeng nodded. It's not whether he dares or not. He will come for sure. The only reason why he didn't talk too much with me before was probably because he had only just found his daughter. Di Dongbing's face sunk. He knew his niece's power. Someone whom she can't even beat was definitely strong. It was a joke to try to capture someone like that through police. How old is he? Even you're no match for him. Is he at the yellow level tertiary stage? Di Dongbing had to know what sort of opponent he was facing. Di Kaifeng replied, he looks like he's in his 20s. But he sliced the bottom of my shoes without me noticing at all. I'm sure that if he wanted to slice my legs off, I wouldn't be able to keep my legs. He's definitely not just at the yellow level. He's at least at the black level. That's strong? Di Dongbing's heart was getting cold. It was no joke to offend a black level master. His Baoshi Hall wasn't small and might be the overlord here, but any black level could easily annihilate the hall. Not to mention, those who cultivate ancient martial arts have very little care for the law. If someone like that wanted to annihilate the Baoshi Hall, even the government wouldn't be able to stop them in time. But if he was prepared, then even a black level wouldn't be able to easily annihilate his Baoshi Hall. At the same time, though, he wouldn't have the strength to kill the man either. Di Dongbing gasped. He didn't expect to casually offend someone like this today. No wonder he was so restless all day. But was he just going to let his son get beaten like that and not get revenge? Uncle Bing, don't worry too much. This is all just my guess. It's very rare for someone to reach black level before 30. Besides, even if he is black level, the Baoshi Hall doesn't have to fear him, Di Kaifeng said. Di Dongbing nodded. I'm not scared. Although we don't have black levels, we're not just for show either. Now that I'm prepared, if he dares to come to Baoshi Hall, I will make sure there will be no return for him. I might lose a few brothers at most. But if we tried to go capture him, it would be much harder. Di Kaifeng mused for a moment before saying, My master will come tonight, and I've received news that he has reached the earth level. Kaifeng, your master reached the earth level? Di Dongbing stood up in joy. If Caifeng's master dealt with this cocky youth, then they didn't need to worry about anything. Di Kaifeng knew what her uncle was thinking and said worriedly, Although master agreed to take me in as a formal disciple, I'm not one yet. Master is from the hidden sects, so even if I become his formal disciple, I can't ask him to attack people as soon as I see Hai Dash. Di Dongbing suddenly laughed bleakly and interrupted, Don't worry, Kaifeng. I've prepared a big gift for him, and we should be able to get it soon. This gift will move him for sure. What is it? Di Kaifeng asked. Luminous. Pearl. Di Dongbing said word by word. What? A luminous pearl? Even Di Kaifeng stood up in shock. I've sent Lipin to take care of it. He should have finished the job by now. Di Dongbing got up and remembered that Lu Lipin had been gone for 2 hours already. Why was there still no news of him? Di Dongbing immediately called Lu Lipin, but all he heard was a blank tone. The next moment, Di Dongbing felt something must be up. Lu Lipin wouldn't shut his phone without his approval. And if something happened to his phone, he would report it to him immediately. What's going on? Di Kaifeng noticed something was wrong too. I can't reach Lipin, which should be impossible. He should just be taking something from an ordinary person. Di Dongbing frowned. Di Kaifeng immediately asked, where did he get the news of the luminous pearl? How precious is a luminous pearl? How could he easily get news of it? Di Dongbing's face also went serious, and he called 2 men to search for Lu Lipin immediately. Then, he replied, he got the news from a taxi driver who heard it when driving a father and daughter father and daughter? Di Kaifeng asked with a frown. Yes, Di Dongbing then repeated what Lu Lipin told him. Di Kaifeng heard this and said more carefully, Uncle Bing, if I'm not wrong, that father and daughter are the people I was talking about. The taxi driver met them not too long ago, and he picked them up from the Haisha High School entrance. I'm almost certain that this is the man who beat DZ up. I didn't think things would be so coincidental, but now that I think of it, it's normal for someone like that to have the luminous pearl. Di Dongbing took a cold breath in and looked at Di Kaifeng in shock. Then that means that Lu Lipin and company are already? Di Kaifeng nodded. If it was really that person, then they might not be in a good state. Although he hasn't come looking for us yet, I'm sure he will at night. Di Dongbing's heart went cold. He felt that things didn't seem so simple, and they weren't under his control. Suddenly, his phone rung. What? Di Dongbing's men's report shook him again. What is it? Di Kaifeng asked. Di Dongbing put the phone down in defeat. Lu Lipin and company's van was found by the side of a road, with 4 piles of ash and a few burned guns inside. Hearing this, Di Kaifeng also frowned. After a long while, she sighed, Uncle Bing, this isn't something we can settle. But luckily the luminous pearl is still on him. When my master comes tonight, I will tell him. Even if my master doesn't need it, he wouldn't let something that precious go by him. Di Dongbing suddenly looked 10 years older. We can only do that. It would be best if your master is willing to be involved. Sigh, I'm just afraid. I'll go have a look at Dihua first. Di Kaifeng knew that her uncle was worried that her master wouldn't be willing to be involved, or that that man was also related to the hidden sections. But she wasn't worried at all, because she knew her master would definitely get involved for the sake of the luminous pearl. Although Yimo had lived at Ninghai for quite some time, he didn't really know many good restaurants. He almost only knew the Ninghai University restaurant and the Westlake restaurant. So Yimo took them to Grand Delicacy, one other restaurant he knew. It was closer to where Yimo was, and he had gone there once with Ning Qingxue. That meal, Yimo had spent all the money he had on him. The dishes were expensive, but they tasted nice. Although Yimo didn't really like it, Yimo was really excited about eating out, so he had to take her to a good place. Chapter 791. Marrow Refining. Chapter 791. Marrow Refining Grand Delicacy was a rather high-caliber restaurant in Ninghai, and many wealthy people ate there. Yimo and the girls caught the eyes of many people as soon as they came in. Although Song Yangzhu was in a really weak state, after seeing Yimo, she had cleaned herself and now showed her special temperament again. Seeing Song Yangzhu look down, Yimo pulled her hand. She knew that Yimo wanted to tell her that she shouldn't care. Song Yangzhu recovered a little, thinking that she would only stay with Yimo for a bit. At most until Yimo's life stabilized, after which she would leave Yimo. Yimo didn't mind. And the reason why he hadn't cured her yet was because he was planning to not only recover her youth, but also refine her bone marrow. Before that, he didn't want to casually treat her. Yimo called for a room. Facing a table full of delicious food, Yimo forgot about wanting to cultivate and focused on eating while urging her mother to eat. Song Yangzhu ate very little, but she was very happy seeing that Yimo was happy. She had been living a hard life these years, but she did come from a wealthy family after all. Dad, was this where you lived before? Mom seemed to have shown me this place once. Yimo said outside Yimo's house in Ninghai. Song Yangju's eyes went red. She remembered she took Yimo there once when she was only 5, and yet she still remembered. Yimo patted Song Yangju's hand and said to Yimo, "Yes, Daddy used to live here." Yimo took them inside. The flower pots didn't have a lot of weed, and the house was cleaned rather well. Yimo could tell that there were frequent visitors here. It was either Su Jingwen or Yunbing, but they were both not there at the moment, and Yimo didn't use his spirit sense to search for them either. Seeing the flower pot, Yimo sighed. It seemed like every woman related to him had been to this house except for Xiaoyun. Yimo went inside the house and used a few cleaning spells before saying to Yimo, "Sleep in the west room tonight. I need to treat your mother's wounds, so don't disturb us if there's nothing important." Yimo meant what he said, but both Yimo and Song Yangju misunderstood him. Yimo poked her tongue out and made a face at Yimo as she agreed. Then, she snuck into the west room. She thought that there must be a lot of things Dad and Mom want to talk about. It wasn't good for her to be in between them. Song Yangju blushed seeing her daughter leave. She thought she was prepared for what Yimo was planning, but she wasn't mentally prepared at all. Mentally, she was still the same girl as a decade ago. She wanted to sleep with Yimo and Yimo together, but when she opened her mouth, she didn't end up calling her daughter. In the depth of her heart, she also wanted to talk to Yimo privately. But even still, she was very anxious. To her, it felt like it would be her first time, as the last time she wasn't really conscious. Seeing Yimo walk into the room, she felt a little worried. "What are you hesitating about? Come in." Yimo called out to her. Song Yangju was a little worried, so she rubbed her clothes and said after a while, "Should I go take a shower first?" Yimo pulled her in. "No need. You can do that later. Take these pills and take off your clothes before laying on the bed." Yimo gave a face-preserving pill to Song Yangju and said. Song Yangju hesitated and didn't take the pill from Yimo. However, she did take off all her clothes and closed her eyes as she crossed her arms on her chest and laid on the bed. Yimo looked at Song Yangju, who still had that snow-white skin, and a burning intensity rose in his stomach. This was the second time he saw the naked Song Yangju, but the first time, he didn't have such desires at all. Although Song Yangju was skinny, her chest was still really big, even a little bigger than Xiaoyun's. Yimo realized that the reason why she could still keep such a body was her foundation in ancient martial arts. Yimo had only meant for her to take off her outer clothing. Why did she take off all her clothes? Yimo didn't think too much about it. Song Yangju was his woman anyways, so it was fine. He gave the pill to Song Yangju and said, "Open your mouth and eat the pill." Song Yangju opened her eyes with a blushing face and said, "I don't need to eat it. I should be fine. You can go ahead." Yimo looked confusedly at Song Yangju and said, "This is a face-preserving pill. I want to treat your wounds and can even refine your bone marrow for you. It would be more effective if you ate this pill before we sta-. But Yimo didn't finish and understood what Song Yangju meant. Immediately, love and care welled up in his heart. Song Yangju had probably misunderstood him. Although she was weak, she didn't reject him and took all her clothes off. Yimo leaned down and whispered into Song Yangju's ear, "Thank you, Yangju. Since you've seen Luoying and Qingxue, I want you to be like them, someone by my side. I'll treat your wounds first and then." Song Yangju finally understood that Yimo was really trying to treat her wounds. Thinking about how extraordinary Yimo was, she immediately knew that Yimo wasn't tricking her. Although she had misunderstood him, she didn't feel awkward at all due to Yimo's attitude. She didn't even put her clothes back on. The face-preserving pill gradually spread its influence throughout Song Yangju's body. Yimo then put a lotus life pill in her mouth. If he were just purely treating her wounds, Song Yangju wouldn't need to take off her clothes at all. But he had decided to refine Song Yangju's marrow too. When the two pills started applying their effects inside Song Yangju's body, Yimo took out 360 golden needles and started piercing Song Yangju's chakra points, helping her organize her meridians. Yimo even took out 12 spirit stones and made a simple spirit chi gathering formation in case he was lacking in cultivation essence. Song Yangju fell asleep as soon as Yimo inserted the needles. Even though Yimo was stage 8 middle level and was about to reach the tertiary level, he couldn't finish refining her marrow that easily yet. Luckily, Song Yangju was already an ancient martial artist, so her meridians were much easier to unblock than normal people's, or he would have to use many times the effort. When Yimo removed all of the impurities in her body, he was so tired he didn't have any energy left. All the spirit chi inside the 12 spirit stones had been used up. Yimo looked at Song Yangju, who was fast asleep on the bed, and felt a sense of accomplishment. She recovered her looks from her prime, and her hair was also black again. Due to the face-preserving pill, she was even prettier than in her prime. Although her power only returned to the yellow-level tertiary stage, Yimo didn't plan on letting her keep cultivating ancient martial arts anyway. Chapter 792, Fiery Song Yangju. Chapter 792, Fiery Song Yangju. When Song Yangju woke up, she immediately noticed that she was fully naked and was shook. As a woman who didn't have a husband, she had always been very careful. She wasn't used to sleeping by someone's side, so it took her a moment to realize what was going on. When she turned and saw Yimo still sleeping by her side, though, she immediately felt relieved. But soon, she felt that something was different. Her body had become light, and her power had also reached the yellow-level tertiary stage. She could easily reach the black level again. All her wounds had disappeared, and she found that her hands were smooth and silky like 10 years ago. Song Yangju quickly grabbed her hair, and what appeared before her eyes were pure black silky strands. She remembered that Yimo said he was going to treat her last night. Was his treatment this powerful? Song Yangju could no longer keep calm. She knew all this was real. Yimo could even fly. What couldn't he do? Was he really an immortal? No woman wouldn't care about her beauty. No woman didn't want to show her prettiest side to the person she liked. She was no different, and Yimo had truly returned to her what she had lost. In her excitement and joy, she embraced Yimo and kissed him. For the first time, Yimo hadn't chosen to cultivate to recover his cultivation essence and had chosen to sleep instead. When Song Yangju hugged him, he immediately woke up. Looking at her joyful face, he was also very satisfied. She had found her confidence again and went back to the old Song Yangju. Thank you, Yimo. Song Yangju couldn't contain her excitement and kissed Yimo's lips. Yimo had been separated from Mu Xiaoyun for so long and hadn't seen Luoying and Ning Qingxue. Now that he was being wildly kissed by the naked Song Yangju, how could he resist it? Song Yangju's fire ignited his inner fire in turn, and to his surprise, Song Yangju was so fierce that he couldn't even get on top of her. When she enveloped his rod of fire, she frowned as it seemed a little painful at first, but that pain was soon gone, and she moaned in satisfaction. The moon rose higher and higher until it was almost daylight before Song Yangju finally got off Yimo in exhaustion. She squirmed in Yimo's arms, and it was as though that crazy woman and Song Yangju were two different people. Seeing that Yimo wasn't asking her why she had been so fiery, she couldn't resist to say, "You took the initiative that day, so this time, it was my turn to take the initiative." Yimo understood now, and he rubbed Song Yangju's hair apologetically. They had two little memories together. The thing on the mountain was the only one worth remembering. To be honest, I was innocent that day. You took the initiative then too? You. The two no longer had the mood to sleep. Perhaps due to the fierce battle during the night, Song Yangju no longer kept the distance she had when she first saw Yimo. Only now did she make up her mind to stay with Yimo and not just let Yimo stay with Yimo while she left. "I'm sorry." Yimo apologized to Song Yangju in his arms. Firstly, because he had annihilated the Song family, and secondly, because he let her live like this by herself. Song Yangju put her finger on Yimo's lips. She knew what Yimo meant, but the Song family had been too cocky. While she had tried to get revenge, the other members even just stole the fortune and left, and no one had thought about her. Meanwhile, Yimo saved her many times and became her husband. She had long since forgotten about the business between him and the Song family. "Where did your wounds come from?" Yimo asked. Song Yangju hesitated before saying slowly, "When I was pregnant with Yimo, I went to Jing City. On a snowy day, I fell at the bottom of Imei Mountain. Sister Shanyu from around there saved me and took me up to the Imei Mosque. After I heard about your news, I took Imo to Beijing, but then I heard you were at Flowing Snake, so I took Imo there. When I got there, however, I realized you had gone to Luoyu. Luckily, Luoyu had just finished the war, and the docks were open for migration, so I went there with Yimo. Song Yangzhu still felt a little pain thinking about the arduous journey she had. Sorry, Yangzhu, when I saw your figure leave that day, it seemed familiar, but I didn't think carefully who it might have been. If I had, you wouldn't have gone through so much suffering. Yimo was very regretful. Song Yangzhu shook her head and knew that she had left no special feeling in Yimo's heart. She had never blamed Yimo for anything, as without Yimo, even though they had slept together, there wouldn't have been any special connection between them. I didn't have a place to go after leaving Luoyu, so I went back to Imei Mosque, but I saw Sister Shan Yu's and 2 other nuns' bodies there. I quickly buried them and wanted to take Yimo to leave, when Song Yangzhu's face looked scared, recounting everything, as though the event of that day were still too scary. Yimo sent some qi into her body to calm her down. Song Yangzhu felt she was still in Yimo's arms and gradually calmed down a little, but her tone was still shaky. I just managed to walk up to the door when I was stopped by a black figure. He had no face. His face was like a skeleton and full of craters. I didn't dare to move at all. Yimo frowned. He thought of someone who also didn't have a face, that Yin Wuliang at the auction on the ship, but he had killed him after the auction. His voice was like a ghost's, and I was worried for Yimo, so I struck at him with a wooden stick in my panic, and for some reason, I actually hit him. That man groaned and something was seemingly beaten out of him, but the bracelet on Yimo emitted some light and stopped that thing. I didn't dare to fight him and quickly took Yimo to run. However, at that moment, that man kicked the wooden stick back, and it hit my back. I spat blood but didn't dare to stay, so I left Imei Mountain as quickly as possible. Luckily, that person didn't chase after me, and I fled to Ninghai with Yimo. Chapter 793, Yimo's Danger. Chapter 793, Yimo's Danger. The more Yimo listened, the more he felt like that black figure was the same type of person as the Yin Wuliang he met. Yin Wuliang was from the All-Gu sect. Everyone in that sect was a Gu master, so even if he was injured, he wouldn't let Song Yangzhu escape. Yimo frowned and felt something wasn't right. Song Yangzhu was injured and weak, but she didn't have any Gu planted in her. Yimo was certain of this. Yimo also seemed very healthy. What's wrong? Song Yangzhu saw Yimo frown and asked worriedly. Yimo put his hand on Song Yangzhu's back and ran his cultivation essence through her body again to check. He didn't find anything wrong. Song Yangzhu's body felt hot after that search, and she subconsciously hugged Yimo tighter. Yimo patted her back and said, "Let me go check Yimo too." Because that person might be from the All-Gu sect, Yimo didn't feel safe and wanted to properly check Yimo. What's wrong with Yimo? Song Yangzhu was shook. To her, Yimo was much more important than herself. Yimo said seriously, "I suspect the person you saw was from the All-Gu sect. Everyone from that sect is inhumane and unreasonable, and they're very good at controlling Gu. I need to check if Yimo is fine." Seeing Yimo leave, Song Yangzhu immediately became worried. She had heard about the All-Gu sect from her master before. It wasn't a big hidden sect, but it was in Miaojiang, and because their means were so unpredictable, even the big 6 sects didn't want any enmity with them. "You're up already? Did you not sleep?" Yimo walked in and asked Yimo, "Dad, you're here. I just woke up. Are you going to teach me cultivation?" Yimo asked. Yimo smiled. "I will teach you for sure, but I'm busy today. Why don't you go out with your mom and buy some clothes?" "Then where's Mom?" Yimo asked. "She will come over in a bit. Show me your wrist for now. Let me check how your body is." Yimo checked Yimo's face first. It wasn't very healthy, but it wasn't sickly either. She gave out her hand without hesitation. Yimo carefully searched all her chakra points and meridians with his cultivation essence, but he didn't find anything even after searching twice. Yimo breathed easy. Yimo should be fine. It seemed that the person was too heavily injured, and the bracelet protected them. Just when Yimo was going to take back his hand, he heard Yimo exclaim, "Mom, you?" Yimo held her mouth and looked at Song Yangju in disbelief. Her mother became this young and beautiful. Was this her mother? She didn't seem this pretty 10 years ago. It must be Dad using immortal magic to treat Mother. Yimo looked at her dad again, and her eyes were full of stars. She had to learn these things from Dad. Meanwhile, when Yimo screamed, Yimo felt something different on her. "Mom, you're so pretty. You can be my big sister now, no, my younger sister." Yimo praised. She wanted her mom to relax. She could tell her mom looked younger, but her eyes were still tense. Song Yangju walked over and sat down by the bed, asking Yimo worriedly, "How is it? Is Yimo fine?" Yimo was checking Yimo's body for the third time and didn't reply to Song Yangju. His face grew worse and worse. He was sure that something was done to Yimo, but it wasn't a live goo. This thing was just a mark. Yimo was sure that the perpetrator had to have been no weaker than Rensha, perhaps even stronger. "What's wrong?" Song Yangju asked worriedly. "Has Yimo been sicklish all these years, or ever shown anything out of the ordinary?" Yimo asked. Song Yangju shook her head. She actually felt Yimo was lucky as she rarely got sick. But thinking for a while, Song Yangju said, "Yimo does get headaches every now and then, but each time she has a headache, I buy her a black chicken and make a stew with tian ma for her. She then always gets better a week later. This happens about 3 times a year." Yimo heard this and was sure that Yimo had something more powerful than goo bugs planted on her. Something called a pill goo. A goo master would plant a pill goo into someone's body, best if it was a child. The pill goo would do no harm to the body before it matured, but the day that it matured, it would kill the host and devour all of its life force and essence blood, forming into a pill-like goo. The master would then use this goo to make a pill for his cultivation. Rarely anyone used this due to the time frame it took to mature. Pilgus usually matured after 18 years. This meant that when Yimo turned 20, the goo master would come retrieve the goo. Hearing this, both Song Yangju and Yimo were shook. It seemed that if the black-clothed man hadn't wanted Song Yangju to raise Yimo until she was 20, the both of them would have been dead. "Then what do we do?" Song Yangju was so worried she was about to cry. Yimo patted Song Yangju and Yimo, saying, "Don't worry, I can get it out. Yimo, lay on your mom and turn your back to me." It was very hard to plant a pill goo, and even harder to take it out, but to Yimo, it was still rather easy. This pill goo was near Yimo's right shoulder. Yimo sealed all directions it could escape to and sliced open an area of her shoulder. At the same time, his cultivation essence enveloped a pea-sized thing and put it into a vase he prepared beforehand. After this, he gave Yimo a lotus life pill and checked her carefully, making sure there was no problem, before finally feeling assured. Only Yimo could have the privilege of eating a lotus life pill for such a minor injury. Song Yangju saw Yimo take out the goo and finally patted her chest in relief. "I was so scared. I didn't expect there would be such bleak people in this world." Meanwhile, Yimo was raging with killing intent on the inside. He didn't care about Yin Wuliang's metal card anymore after going into the small world, but now it seemed he needed to go to Miaojiang and annihilate that Algu sect. Chapter 794, Di Dongbing's Guest. Chapter 794, Di Dongbing's guest. Song Yangju looked at the goo bug in disgust. "Burn the bottle, please. It's uncomfortable to look at." If she hadn't told Yimo about what happened and he hadn't checked Yimo, this pill goo would end up taking Yimo's life. She felt scared just thinking about it. Yimo shook his head. "I can't annihilate this goo yet. If I do, the owner would notice. I need to use this goo to find its master first. I won't let it go like this." Then, Yimo gave Song Yangju a card. "There's some money in this card. The password is all ones. You can go buy some things with Yimo while I take care of some things." To Yimo, if it was just the Dihua incident, he wouldn't go look for trouble with the Baoshi Hall, but how dare they try to scheme for the luminous pearl? This was what awakened his killing intent. Everyone liked treasures, but even with Yimo's power, He didn't go around killing people and robbing them as soon as he wanted something. Dad, do you have a lot of money in the card? Can I buy whatever I want? Yimo immediately asked. She had long since wanted a Luoyu brand phone, but she'd never told her mother. Before Yimo could reply, Song Yangju patted her head. Of course, you can buy the entire mall if you like. Song Yangju knew who Yimo was, the founder of Luoyu. If he wasn't rich, then no one in this world was rich. The most core place of Baoshi Hall was the Baoshi meeting area. This was also the most luxurious place in Ninghai. The big boss of Baoshi Hall was very restless today, because they were about to welcome their most precious guest, an Earth-level ancient martial artist from the hidden sections. But the more he waited anxiously, the later the guest came. He didn't dare to leave the place, though, and at exactly 2 a.m., the guest arrived. Despite the time, Di Dongbing and his niece Di Kaifeng still stayed and had two beautiful maids serve the guest. The guest looked like he was only in his 40s, but Di Dongbing knew that this man was at least 60. In front of this guest, Di Dongbing no longer had that condescending temperament. He carefully talked with this guest, and Di Kaifeng was even more polite and obedient. She helped the guest peel a mango while talking to him. Not bad. You went from the yellow-level primary stage to almost the tertiary stage. You have some talent. It seems you can come back with me to the hidden sects to cultivate. A pity you started cultivation too late. If only it was 10 years earlier. The guest took the mango and said, "Thank you, Master. My luck came too late. If I met Master earlier, perhaps I'd be at the yellow-level tertiary stage already," Di Kaifeng said. Ha ha ha, the guest laughed. He knew why he really took her in as a disciple. First was because her talent was good, but the main reason was because Di Dongbing had given him a very important herb that allowed him to reach the earth level. He came here wanting to take her into the hidden sects, and also to see if she had any more good herbs. Di Dongbing had never cultivated ancient martial arts, but he was very perceptive. He could easily tell what the guest wanted. "Pei Qianbei, Wanbei feels that there must be more of those herbs, so I've sent people to Wui Mountain to look for more. If we find some, we will contact Qianbei immediately." Small matter. The guest waved his hand as though he didn't care about the gift at all. Di Kaifeng casually mentioned, "If we could bring that luminous pearl now, we could put it in Master's bedroom." So Kaifeng, that luminous pearl is only for show. Since we don't have it yet, we should focus on however. Di Dongbing was immediately interrupted by the guest. "A luminous pearl? Are you sure?" A luminous pearl was so valuable that even an earth level couldn't ignore it, much less someone who had only just reached the earth level. Di Dongbing rejoiced. Even someone like that cared about the luminous pearl after all. He immediately said, "Yes, Pei Qianbei, it is a luminous pearl indeed. It was mine already, and I was planning on using it as a gift for Kaifeng becoming your disciple, but what?" The guest was clearly impatient. Di Dongbing immediately said, "I already bought that luminous pearl and paid the money, but unlucky for me, the kid of my family goes to the same school as the kid of the family who has the pearl. They had some conflict and coincidentally, the dad of the kid came back and heavily beat up my son and now doesn't want to sell me the luminous pearl anymore." Di Dongbing sighed and continued, "I suspect the main reason why he doesn't want to sell it to me is because he knows that it's a luminous pearl now." Hearing this, the middle-aged man frowned. Although he spent most of his time cultivating, he wasn't an idiot. He suddenly looked at Di Dongbing and said, "You have your Baoshi Hall, and I heard you have a lot of masters there. Even if you killed someone in this area, it should be fine. So why would you fear an ordinary family? With your status, how can you not get revenge from someone who beat your son so heavily?" Di Dongbing subconsciously shivered. He had heard his niece say that her master cultivated too much and didn't understand the world that much, but it didn't seem so now. He quickly replied, "That man seems very strong actually, and Kaifeng suspects he's an ancient martial artist too, but we're not too sure." The middle-aged man looked at Di Kaifeng. Di Kaifeng quickly added, "When that man beat my cousin, I just arrived at the scene. I felt like I was no match for him. If he was going to keep attacking, I would attack too, but he didn't, so I didn't provoke him. I was afraid that if he had some strong background it would cause trouble for Master." The middle-aged man nodded approvingly. But this disciple of his was a bit too careful. An Earth-level cultivator was already a master at the hidden sections. How could he be afraid of any ancient martial artist from the mortal world? Di Kaifeng didn't know the power of Earth-level, though, so that's why she was this careful. How old is he? The man still asked. He looks to be in his 20s, Di Kaifeng answered. Hearing this, the man felt completely reassured. Younger than 30. No matter how genius he was, he would be at most at the black-level primary stage. However, Di Kaifeng purposely didn't tell him about her shoe getting sliced off out of fear that her master would become too careful. Di Dongbing continued. Yes, Kaifeng said that person was rather strong, and it wasn't easy to set up this Baoshi hall of mine. So I will count myself happy as long as he doesn't come for me. I wouldn't dare to find him instead. Oh, do you think he might come over? The guest looked at Di Dongbing and asked. Di Dongbing nodded. Yes, I was afraid he would come at night actually, but now it's day and he still isn't here, so I guess I was thinking too much. Pei Qinbei, it must have been a long journey for you. How about Kaifeng takes you to rest first? The guest smiled. There's no such thing as rest for me. Since that cocky kid isn't here, then I'll go over and check him out. A luminous pearl. I also want to see it. Chapter 795. The Hidden Sect's Danger. Chapter 795. The Hidden Sect's Danger. When Yimo arrived at the Baoshi Hall, his first thought was that the big boss of this place was really scared of death. This was just a meeting ground. Yet there were about 30 bodyguards both in plain sight and hidden all over. Although these bodyguards couldn't threaten him at all, Yimo wasn't going to be nice now that he was there. Other than the 2 guards at the gate, he controlled all the bodyguards and dumped them to one corner. It's this late, yet you're still not asleep. Are you discussing my luminous pearl, or are you waiting for me perhaps? Yimo suddenly said. Hearing this, everyone got up and looked at the door. Di Dongbing was stunned the most. He didn't know how Yimo could have come in at all. He had a whole bunch of bodyguards, and none of them had reported anything. But Di Dongbing had been through a lot of things and soon calmed down. You're the person who beat up my son so heavily? What enmity do I have with you? You were so cruel, yet I didn't go find you. But you actually came to me, Di Dongbing said hatefully. Master, it's him. Di Kaifeng thought about what happened yesterday and was also annoyed. But when she saw her master, she immediately swallowed the words she was about to say and looked at her master in disbelief. Her master was kneeling on the ground and shaking. What was going on? Yimo also felt very strange that there was an earth level here. How could there be this level of master in Ninghai? However, this earth level knelt down in front of him, so he clearly knew him. Di Dongbing also saw this eerie scene, and his mouth was wide open like Di Caifeng's. He immediately realized that he seemed to have messed with someone he couldn't mess with. Even Caifeng's master, an earth-level cultivator, was kneeling and shivering in front of this person. Who was he? He didn't dare to even wage a guess anymore, and the next moment, he quickly pulled Di Kaifeng to kneel down with him. He had survived until that day not only because he had power, but also because he had the brains to recognize the situation. Yimo ignored the two and walked up to the earth level, asking coldly, "You know me?" The earth level was still shaky and quickly replied, yes, Qianbei. This Wanbei is called Peiyong. I am from the Qishan sect. Qishan sect? Yimo frowned and really couldn't remember a sect called the Qishan sect. How do you know me? I don't have any impression of you, Yimo asked after thinking for a moment. Peiyong quickly replied, more than 10 years ago. I saw Qianbei once at the Hidden Sects tournament on Broken Top Mountain. Qianbei showed your almighty power on the stage and slaughtered that invader, promoting the dominance of our country. I've long since admired Qianbei. Peiyong didn't feel his words to be cringy at all. He had heard of Yimo's legendary stories. If Yimo could even annihilate a behemoth of the hidden sects like the Gourd Cave, then he wasn't even an ant to him. Yimo nodded. No wonder he knew him. You're here to help the Baoshi Hall? Yimo asked coldly. Peiyong subconsciously shivered and quickly said, No, Wanbei is not here for this. I'm preparing to go to the Hidden Sects Earth-level meeting to discuss the danger to the Hidden Sects. At that moment, 2 guns sounded all of a sudden. Yemo's spirit sense had already noticed a bulky youth run in with a gun, and the two guards at the door had been shot down by him. Di Dongbing heard this, and his face grew worse. He wanted to stand up immediately but couldn't, as he had never knelt down for so long in his life. That youth rushed into the guest hall and was dazed by the scene in front of him. He knew who Di Dongbing was all too clearly, yet someone like him was kneeling down to someone? He had waited a whole night to kill him, but he didn't come out all. He had to leave Ninghai immediately, so he charged in to kill Di Dongbing even if it could mean his death. The youth also felt like it had been surprisingly easy to come in, and that seemed to be related to this young man in front of him. He ignored Yemo and just started shooting away at Di Dongbing. The more bullets he sprayed, the crazier he became. Di Dongbing had never thought that he would die like this, killed by an ant. He really didn't how his heavily guarded meeting place didn't even have anyone to report when people kept coming in. It was acceptable when someone that Sifing's master even feared came in. But what about this ordinary kid? Uncle, Di Kaifeng called out and rushed over, wanting to hold Di Dongbing up. It's you. Di Kaifeng then recognized the youth and looked at him angrily. She would have charged up already if he didn't have a gun in his hand. The youth also looked at Di Kaifeng furiously. I've killed that animal Di Dongbing, but you're a butcher too. My sister's death is also related to you. Ha ha ha. Then, the youth sprayed bullets at Di Kaifeng. Hey, why did you kill him? Yemo scanned the youth and asked. He didn't stop the youth from killing, but if he couldn't give an appropriate reason for killing under his watch, Yemo wouldn't mind letting this youth die too. The youth saw Di Kaifeng fall in a pool of blood, and the madness in his eyes gradually dissipated. If she had been just getting close to me for my family's land and wealth, I wouldn't mind even if she tricked it all away, because I really loved her. But this devil-hearted woman not only helped the Bao Shi Hall take everything I had, she also wouldn't even let my little sister go. Madness appeared in the youth's eyes again. Yemo waved his hand. Okay then, you've killed them and gotten your revenge. Now leave, don't interrupt my business here. Di Kaifeng must have given this kid's sister to Di Hua, and she probably died in his hands. The youth looked strangely at Yemo once. He knew Yemo was no ordinary person from how Di Dongbing had been kneeling on the ground. Thank you. I'm Fengchen. May we meet again. He felt that the reason why he had been so successful today was definitely related to this person. He could also feel that the man didn't fear his gun. He didn't have any enmity with him anyway, so he saluted with his fist and left. Yemo actually had a strange feeling about this Fengchen. The fellow had a strange aura about him that felt familiar to Yemo. He didn't keep thinking, though, and looked at Peiyong, who was kneeling on the ground, and asked, What is this danger to the hidden sects you mentioned? You're tuning in to the Warrior Lore YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.